You blinked again. Wendy Bell Radio is live.
I'm sorry. Are you sitting in front of 4 lights? No, that would be me. I'm sorry.
I have 1, 2, 3.
Hey, how's everybody? Number 3 on the leaderboard yesterday. I'm just going to say I very much enjoy the title of today's show. No bueno. No bueno. I'm not falling for it. We're not falling for all of the narratives that these clans want us to talk about. I'm not going to do it, Brock. I'm punting. I'm doing something different for the monologue.
Uh-oh. That's
I just saw something that pissed me off, so I figured I'm gonna
well, there you go.
Sometimes you just need a gift, and I received one. In fact, Elon Musk gave it to me, but we'll talk about it. How's everybody doing? What's going on? I was 370 this morning. I was a little late.
I'm 739.
You're 739. We got 800 going. Hi, everybody. Hey, by the way, for everybody who bought the mugs, these mugs, North is still North. This is the front. Brock, show him the back, because Brock's is the back. So Brock sold out because a lot of you guys want both. And so Jolene is making 100 more. And we're going to go pick them up next Saturday. God willing, she can get as many as she can get done. And then we'll get them into the store. And if it wasn't for Lindsay, I know a lot of you guys started getting your merch last week, over the weekend. She's just the best. She's just the best.
I offered to take Lindsay to dinner Friday night. She's like, I got to get stuff done.
Yeah, she and Brock's wife are very good friends. And so I guess Kate and Brock were going to have supper somewhere. And he's like, come on along. And she's like, nope, I got to do some work. I can't get behind. I won't be comfortable. I love that. But if it wasn't for you guys, thank you. So this is what they look like, right? They're really nice. This is too big. This is not how big it is. But his picture, his Gary Varvel is on his, mine's on mine. Hopefully we'll get him in by this time next week. So if you can just hang tight.
And please hand wash them.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want them to lose the color.
I just want to make sure, this is all, we've never done anything like this before. We just want to make sure that everything is good. I had to watch Bad Bunny. I had to watch what was going on there. Yeah, I watched both. And it was curious listening to my sons talk about it and their assessment of it. I was sitting there with Jack and Joe, and then Michael, Bob, and Chris and Ryan were somewhere else, and we're all on this group text, and they're all, and Michael made some good points about why Goodell would have chosen. Was it Roger Goodell's choice, or is there a board or...
the guy in charge of the halftime show is Jay-Z, his company. So I don't know how much Roger Goodell has approval. I would assume he has approval, but...
How did Jay-Z get that job?
Roger Goodell? I don't know.
He's not the greatest guy in the world. Jay-Z is. Isn't he mired in problems of his own? Yes. So perfect. All of it sucked. And then you've got Olympic skiers crapping on the flag, proverbially, if you will, or maybe just taking a whiz on it. Which one is more offensive to you? I don't know. So whatever, there's a lot of people they're going to have a bad look. Things are going to come back and they're going to be like, yeah, that was a bad look. I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Men dry humping on the 50-yard line.
That's
not culture.
And the women getting their rocks off, doing that's great. You've got nice butts. My son Bobby liked the butts, apparently.
They don't lie.
And I was like, hey, yes, you're a 17-year-old boy. Should you? Yes. Now, a 4-year-old girl, I'm not interested in seeing that.
Let's be I'd be curious to know the average age in viewer of the Super Bowl. I would think it's the average age is mid-40s, Do
you guys watch The Alternative at Turning Point USA with Kid Rock?
Did.
I thought, and I told Brock this morning, the beginning with the national anthem at the top, I was like, okay, you got me. And it was effortless. He's just standing there, silhouette with some lights behind him and his electric guitar, sorry, plugged into an amp, and he just freaking bangs it out and then unplugs and runs to go join the other guys. I'm like, you guys pulled this off in under a month is astonishing.
Well, I thought Kid Rock, and I put the song on the thumbnail today. I thought Kid Rock coming out as Kid Rock, and I was watching it, and I don't know if you guys saw. It's like the transformation of him
coming out as like
it goes
Robert,
black.
whatever his
then
name
there's
is.
some, violin, and it comes back, and they introduce him by his real name, and then he starts singing. I thought it was a fantastic.
You had an option.
Song,
you had options. You know, you had this or that, and there's entertainment value in this. And there's patriotism and love of country and love of God. With that.
I don't know if you guys realize, like when he first came out, he was lip syncing. Like he wasn't singing; it was just the music. You could tell, But then he sang this. Touche to him. He did great.
Welcome. I'm glad you guys are here.
Oh shoot.
4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America, and greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. An honor, as always, to share as much time with you today as you have. I hope it's 3 hours because we do it every day. 3 hours, we give you what we believe is the most important stuff news-wise out there, and there's a lot to choose from, but there's really not. Because there's one side that's trying to tell you what's going on. They're trying to propagandize you. They're trying to beat you over the head with narratives that you know are garbage. And then there's the other side that wants to expose the rot in the filth and the stench that has done so much harm in this country, right? It's not complicated. And we like to collate it all for you, produce it for you, give it to you on a silver platter with the promise that we will never lie to you. That is my vow. WendyBellRadio.com. That is how you follow us. That's how you get the live video stream. That's how you join in the chat. That's how you become part of our army. But that you're here is wonderful. So thank you and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I'm glad that I saw the Olympic skiers, a couple of the people on the USA team, doing and saying stupid things, inserting commentary that nobody cares about. I don't care about your politics. I don't care what you think about God. Because when you have the flag and USA on your body, all of that stuff plays second fiddle because you are a representation of the greatest place on planet Earth. And if you don't understand that and you believe whatever progressive woke garbage is going on in your mind supersedes your commitment, your vow, your pledge, and your honor to represent these United States, pack up. Go somewhere else. Take the flag off. Take the jacket off. Go live somewhere else, see what life is like there for a while, and then come groveling back to the United States of America like Ellen DeGeneres and beg our forgiveness. My answer will be no. See, what we're seeing in this country, sadly, with that and with this Super Bowl halftime mumbo jumbo, whether or not you watched Bad Bunny and the presentation that was all in Spanish, had no unifying message that I could see because I couldn't understand a damn thing that was being said, right? Whether or not you paid attention to that or to the alternative halftime program over at Turning Point USA, which was about love and faith and country. And all of that stuff that beats in the heart of everybody before they become co-opted by the progressive mind-washing left. There's a poll out right now. TMZ put it out. Which did you prefer, Bad Bunny or the Turning Point USA Kid Rock extravaganza? It wasn't even close. This is TMZ. This is not like some bastion of conservative values. Wasn't even close. 67% said they preferred Kid Rock. 33% said they preferred Bad Bunny. That's all I'm going to say about that. Roger Goodell doesn't care what you think. The NFL doesn't care what you think. Jay-Z, who apparently is the guy who picked Bad Bunny, they don't care what you think. And what we saw yesterday with Kid Rock and this alternative program was what we all feel overarchingly. The majority, if people were honest, do you want to see two dudes grinding on the football field? Do you want to see a bunch of young Latin women and not a white woman inside? I could see Lady Gaga. She was there for a hot second, right? Nobody white, nothing in English. If that's your idea of entertainment, okay. But the majority of America loves what you and I do. It's basic. This is not complicated. Now, that's all I'm going to say about it. It's done, and I don't care. Because the big story that they don't want you talking about is how everything that you thought you believed about this country, everything that you thought you believed about elections and how you, as an American citizen, have this privilege. It is, in fact, an honor. No, it is a duty to go whenever you can and vote for the person that you believe best represents your values, whether it's local, whether it's state or national. Everything that you think you've known about it has been inside out, turned upside down because the Democrats stole 2020. And everything else that's going on, Jeffrey Epstein, right? Protesters in Minneapolis, right? Bad Bunny, blah, blah, blah. All of that is a giant distraction and diversion from the real story that President Trump has wanted to make so clear to you for the last 6 years, as have we on this program. And I'm going to take you back to something that I saw this morning that completely changed everything in my mind about what I wanted to say to you. I was going to play for you a mashup of NFL players going in before the game, being asked by some dude and spliced together, what's your favorite Bad Bunny song? And nobody knew who the guy was. Nobody cared. None of the players, right? And then on my X feed, a video from Elon Musk, he tweeted it out, retweeted it. It's something that I know quite well. It is 5 years old. And it was on the day before Thanksgiving 2020. And it was a hearing featuring state senator and former gubernatorial candidate from Pennsylvania, Doug Mastriano, hosting an election integrity, basically hearing, inviting people to come forward with their proof in Pennsylvania of fraud. What did you see? What happened? You guys, this isn't just a couple people. We're like, I don't know. It felt kind of weird. It wasn't just, it was odd because in Allegheny County in Pittsburgh, they just stopped counting. And then in Maricopa County, Arizona, they just it was weird. They stopped counting. And then, it's kind of odd. But over in Fulton County, Georgia, they stopped counting. Why did they stop counting? Well, in Pennsylvania, they had to dump 682,000 mail-in ballots that nobody vetted, nobody saw. They needed to allegedly run those through the system. There was a late-night ballot dump in Pennsylvania, election night. It's almost like they needed to know how badly President Trump was clobbering Joe Biden. And that's when everything stopped. because they needed to infuse in the tally these miraculous, unseen mail-in ballots. I mean, only in a state as convoluted as the land before time do you have 1.8 million mail-in ballots going out, but you receive and count 2.5 million. Make sense of that, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know that in that ballot dump, there was something like 507, there was 680,000 something ballots. 98% of them went for Joe Biden. Does that make sense to you? 570,000 plus ballots went to Joe Biden. Do you want to know how many went to Donald Trump? 3,200. Do you think maybe there was something wrong with that? Do you think maybe the vertical climb on the ballot tally maybe told us something? Do you think this is what President Trump tried to tell you? Do you think this is why maybe they came after them? Do you think maybe this is why those 4 indictments came out and they started dragging him through the mud? Do you think maybe Donald Trump knew all along, as did we and many of you, because you're discerning, intelligent individuals? They stole it. They stole it here in Pennsylvania. They stole it in Arizona, in Nevada. Some curious things there. 42,000 people voting more than once. 1,500 dead people voted. 19,000 voted while living outside of the state. Can't do that. 8,000 used non-existent addresses. 15,000 used commercial vacant addresses. 4,000 were non-citizens. Don't tell me it's not about getting people to vote, because they have. They did. In Nevada that we know of, at least 4,000 of them. So now when you go to a state like Pennsylvania, where Joe Biden allegedly won by 80,555 votes, and you look at the dump of 680,000 ballots that nobody saw, nobody can account for, nobody checked the signature on, do you think maybe that's garbage? Because I'm going to say yes. And all of this, my friends, is coming out. So if you hear stories today, Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, did you hear he's all over the latest Epstein dump? Oh my gosh. Thomas Massey's like, he needs to resign. It is a distraction. And it's like, really? Or are you all so daggone afraid of what we already know, and that is coming out? And it ain't just dripping, my friends. It's not just a faucet trickle. It is gushing out. And some of the information we have coming up in today's program, specifically hour number 3, newly released details that signify the FBI and Chris Wray, when he was in charge, they knew all about what was coming up in 2020. They knew all about the ballots that were going to be dropping. They knew everything. How do we know that? Don't miss a moment, my friends. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about this. Maybe these Olympians and these other people who want to bemoan the fact that we're just a loving country, everybody should come on in. I got some details to educate these sniveling progressive snits. You're going to like it too. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I drank a lot of the healthy fat this weekend because I'm trying really not to drink beer. So if I drink one of my wonderful things of MCT Wellness, this is the big weight loss tool by Dr. Gundry. And he's like, look, I lost 70 pounds drinking this mix. It's just a scoop of this powder in water once or twice a day. And you're like, how the hell does that make you lose 70 pounds? Well, when you do that and you use it as a meal substitute and you curb some of your other behaviors and you start getting your heart pumping, right? It's amazing what your body can do. So I'm doing this weekend, and I stumble upon this beautiful email that I had to print out for you. And it says, Dear Wendy, this is from Steve. I've written to you before and talked about how I like the way you actually use the products that you promote. That being said, I started taking MCT powder a little over a month ago because I'd been at a sticking point with losing weight. I have to tell you, it put me over the edge and I achieved my goal. Wait, what? I had heard you talk about MCT powder lots of times, but never really looked into it. And then one day, about a month and a half ago, I decided to give it a try. It works. Okay. It works as well as collagen peptides did for me. Those I've been taking for 15 months. I also use Morning Kick every day, and I'm on the subscription plan for that. It's taken a lot of hard work to lose 55 pounds since December of last year. I attributed a lot of that success to the supplements. I'm now at my weight I was 35 years ago when I was a bodybuilder. I feel fantastic. MCT Wellness, it's how you get to it is by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Watch the video, pay attention to what Dr. Gundry says. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon. He's not lying to you about what he did. And see if it's something that you want to try. I will never go back. I have one more jar at home, and it makes me a little nervous because it's getting low too. But this is it, MCT Wellness, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. You'll see a promo in there as well when you watch the video. It changed Steve's world. It could change yours. I'm super fired up about this election fraud stuff and the drip that's coming out. I'm very excited by it, right? There's a full circle of vindication there for us because we got when I talked about election fraud, when we asked questions, when we covered that Mastriano press conference. Maybe it's something I'll pull back out tomorrow and play for you because it's 5 minutes and it's just raw data that makes you go, really? I want to know if that's why they launched the pandemic, to steal an election, to smoke screen you with fear. And more dead bodies piling up outside. Oh. So if I sound like I hate everyone,
I do.
it's just the majority. By these young athletes at the Olympics, those who decide to stray off course and away from patriotism and we love America and oh my gosh, I'm so excited to represent you and my Lord, I've trained since I could walk to be on skis and now I'm going to chuck it all into the wind and say something stupid. Because I've been programmed, groomed by progressives my whole life. This young contingent of woke Olympians, and I don't believe it is the majority, but it's a problem, don't you think? These are the products of 20 to 30 years of progressive liberal nonsense in your public schools. This is how it works, right? And they say ridiculous things. We should all love each other and let people come into our country and treat everybody with dignity and due process until they kill your mother. That seemed like a sharp pivot, I know. How about this headline? Do you believe any of these Olympic wokesters know anything about the phrase Tren de Aragua? Do you think they're familiar with that? Because Tren de Aragua brutally tortures and kills innocent people while benefiting from federal funds that you and I get up every day and work hard to go provide. Okay? So if any schmuck downhill skier wants to step on it, okay. Okay, here's a little something for you, sweetness. I got something for you. When reports of the brutal Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua first appeared, Democrats denied its existence. No! They claimed it was an anti-immigrant myth perpetrated by Republicans. That extreme MAGA right. And we're like, no. I'm pretty sure we've got some good details. Denial began to unravel after the whole Aurora, Colorado incident, right? In 2024, when video surfaced showing armed men inside a freaking apartment complex that had taken over. Jared Polis, governor of Colorado, he's like, it's not an invasion. It's an isolated problem. It's no big deal. Really? Several mainstream media schmucks. I can remember Martha Raddatz with J.D. Vance. She's like, well, it's not lots of apartment complexes, maybe just a couple. And he's like, what? Do you hear what you're saying? Well, in reality, the gang is very real, and they've been brutally torturing and killing people while also taking advantage of federal and state benefits programs. So, hey, woke skiers, this is for you. You want to know what they've been doing? Well, last January, a 58-year-old woman in Burien, Washington, just south of Seattle, covered this, was kidnapped from her home by 2 illegal aliens. They've confirmed ties to Trende Aragua. The attackers tortured her by using a power drill on her hand because they wanted her ATM digits and they wanted her jewelry. They also then beat her, they shot her, and they dumped her off of the side of a road. And she played dead until they finally left. And somehow she survived. Do your woke little skier fantasies about open borders and kumbaya, does that factor in that woman? Because I'm sure she'd like to have a conversation with you. Well, and then there was January 8th of this year, an ICE agent arrested an illegal alien, a confirmed Trende Aragua gang member, wanted for charges of what? Murder, racketeering, and drug trafficking tied to crimes in New Mexico. Super duper. And according to a federal indictment, this guy participated in the kidnapping and killing of a man and helped conceal evidence of the crime. They dumped the dude's body in the nowhere part of New Mexico, wherever the hell that is. Well, that's 2 Americans. One dead, one not. How many more do you want? Under President Trump, federal investigations, I should say, into Trende Aragua have focused on how the gang exploits migrant infrastructure by embedding itself within legitimate support systems run by nonprofits and funded by the federal government. That's you, and that would be me, too. You and I pay for that. While these programs are intended to provide humanitarian aid, investigators say Trende Aragua has used them as hubs for recruitment, logistics, and criminal activity. So you've got the Somalians robbing us blind. They really aren't. They're allowed to because they provide great kickbacks to the politicians and to others, right? We all know it's a giant circle of suck. You've got the Armenians and the Russian gangs in Southern California robbing everybody blind with the hospice fraud. I mean, what more do you want? What more do you need? Oh, woke Olympic downhill skiers. You know, I don't like to root against people. I think that when you work hard and you give everything you have, spare moments, right? When you train on work day or weekdays, weekends, when you're up before dawn and in the gym when you don't want to, and you're one of the very best in America, you should probably also have the class to shut your mouth when you don't know what you're talking about. I say the number is probably about 30%. Might be as high as 40. These are the people in America who will never understand what we have been fighting for, what we've been sharing, the information we have dug to find, to share. Some people will not be saved. Those of you who will need to hear about the newest wrinkle in this whole Save America Act, voter ID. It's all so old what the left is saying, but Black America's response to it is wonderful. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I have a list of about 50 Trende Aragua criminals I could have read. How about, Luis blah, blah, Gonzalez Ocasio. Oh, he's wanted for blah, 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 blah. 50 of them right now. Do you think those Olympic downhill skiers would like to have those people moving into their Olympic village? Why not? I think you guys should all share space together. You'd be like, no. We want a guard. We want protection. Yeah. So did we, which is why we voted for Donald Trump. Let me tell you guys about Texas Bullion Exchange, that I love this company, that I enjoy dealing with them, that I've invested multiple times with them, that I believe in this whole idea of precious wealth, precious, what am I trying to say? Metals. Thank you. Precious metals being a part of your wealth plan for the future. A lot of you have listened and you've picked up the phone and you've called them and you've like, I don't know anything either, but I'd love to get an education. My understanding is they so enjoy hearing from you. This isn't just like a one and done situation. I want to have a relationship with a company that sells, is knowledgeable about gold and silver and platinum and palladium, and that has like guardrails set up to protect my investment. And that's their principal protection program. That's the right kind of PPP. And that's what they say to you. They say, hey, you want to buy something from us? If it's $50 an ounce to buy silver right now and you buy a bunch of silver, you will never sell it back to us if you want to for less than the 50 you spent. That's a pretty bold promise. That means they're banking on themselves and on trajectories of the market that show constantly going up and up and up. So if you haven't gotten gold and silver yet, 855-927-5557, 855-927-5557. This is our lead sponsor. They sponsor this program and our podcast, and we are profoundly grateful. WendyLovesGold.com.
I got responses.
You did. Bad?
Calling me closed-minded and not deserving a response, an intelligent response.
I think the reality about the whole halftime thing is like you're gonna look at it as you wish.
Sure.
And everybody's, your opinion is fine. I personally think that if the NFL had an iota or had a care in the world about what people really want, they would have listened. They would have asked, right? There would have been a tapping into even the players when asked, who did they want? They wanted country music. They wanted a performance about faith and family and freedom. They wanted it wrapped in the American flag. They wanted it baked in an apple pie, and they wanted the vision that you and I have for America represented in that show. And that's not what they got. And Roger Goodell in the NFL couldn't give two craps.
Well, I think it's, even from the business side of it, that people on Twitter, lefties on Twitter were saying they only got 25 million views, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something. If all those people left the Super Bowl.
Oh, you mean that the alternate Kid Rock show got 25 million
congruent views while it was going on?
Mm-hmm.
Those advertisers pay for a lot of money.
You know what? I was sitting with Jack watching the Super Bowl, and so it's on NBC, and my son is going into film and all of this stuff, and he's knowledgeable, and he's like, start paying attention to how many NBC commercials there are. And
that
I was
means
like,
they didn't sell.
And
it's the same with radio.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to radio and you're hearing a lot of promos,
self promotion for the company, those are spots that didn't sell, right? Every time there was an NBC ad yesterday was $3 million or $5 million that they didn't get from an advertiser. So I thought the ad sucked. I thought there were probably a couple that were okay, but by and large, it was like watching a typical whatever. That's why I don't watch. I literally didn't even care who won. It wasn't until about 8 o'clock this morning that I was like, oh yeah, who won? Right? Apparently I owe Brock $10 more now. Dang it.
Well, Bobby and I put a wager in too, and I figured first thing I woke up, I saw a text from him, and I figured, I didn't even look at the score. I'm like, Seattle must have won. It's amazing when you just all you say is, they told us this was going to be inclusive. When I can't understand it, how inclusive are you being? If I can't understand what you're saying, how are you getting your message across? So it's just it's an unfortunate look for the NFL
It's the 250th anniversary of the United States of America.
Oh, yeah, and there's that too.
Like, I've been to Puerto Rico multiple times. I love Puerto Rican culture.
That wasn't it.
That's actually, that is. I want America. I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned.
Well, the
opinion
lefties
is
are going to say
different
they're
than
part of
others.
America. Yeah, not the majority of it.
I'm sorry, but immediately being in Spanish.
Yeah. I
You
kept
know.
pressing one on the remote hoping for English, but no avail.
This one page for you. I'm getting a prompt right now and saying no joy, but it's a survey that I saw, and I think we talked about it when it came out. It was the middle of last year, and it was a Daily Caller poll. Actually, it was a Harvard poll, and the Daily Caller did an article on it. And it's sort of like, why do only 24% of young Democrats say they're proud to be an Americans versus more than 70% of young Republicans? So you've got the same cohort, you've got Generation Z, and then you've got some who, very few on the left, who are like, I'm proud. But the majority on the right are like, where is the disconnect? Because something is happening. There are some young people who are falling for the story. You should be ashamed. You should feel guilty. You should take up our cause and fight. And then you have the other side that believe in hard work, that are grateful for the sacrifice of generations of Americans before us, so that we have the privilege to have arguments such as these. And that's 71% of young Republicans who say they're proud of being an American. Where's the disconnect? What happened along the way? Some people are susceptible to the message of the propagandist left, but not a lot of Republicans. Why? Why is that? Well, I want to say this. Over the weekend, I saw President Trump put this out. And this is to bypass all of the other mumbo jumbo of the Olympics, whatever. I'm not interested. Maybe that's short-sighted. But Trump tweeted or truthed out this. He said, look, America's elections are rigged, stolen, and a laughing stock all over the world. We're either going to fix them or we won't have a country any longer. I'm asking all Republicans to fight for the following. Save America Act. All voters must show voter ID. 2, all voters must show proof of United States citizenship to register to vote. And number 3, no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. And that should not outnumber everybody else. There is no reason in Pennsylvania, when they stopped counting, right? All of a sudden you have an infusion of 700,000 rando ballots that nobody has seen, nobody has verified, and the Secretary of State's like, well, I'm sure it's fine. If they come in late, no signature, whatever, it's good. It's a global pandemic. Makes you wonder, is the reason Tony Fauci was the highest paid person in the country, more highly paid than President Trump during COVID? Was that because he was the one they needed, the linchpin to drop a virus on the world, to con enough Americans to stay home, that they could flood the system to cover for Joe Biden's obvious loss? I don't know. You know what I think. So Democrats are desperate at this juncture for people, essentially black people, to believe that they're just too dumb to go out and get an ID. It's old, it's tired, it's embarrassing. Democrats unfazed by voter ID support. Washington Times headline. Congressional Democrats insist that voter ID legislation is a Republican scheme to suppress the minority vote. So stupid, right? Despite an overwhelming majority of Black and Hispanic Americans saying they want people to show a government issued photo ID to cast a freaking ballot, right? Isn't it so dumb? It's like arguing with your sister's children. It doesn't get you anywhere. I want you to hear Jonathan Karl, even ABC's Jonathan Karl. He's got pencil neck chiffon. And when even Jonathan Karl smells your BS, I'm thinking you're in trouble. He goes, look, Senator, so seriously, so many Americans want this, but you don't. You realize it sounds ridiculous, right? Here's the exchange.
What about the idea of photo ID being required to vote? Are you in favor of that? Can there be a compromise where Democrats and Republicans put forward photo ID as a requirement for voting?
So, Jonathan, what you've just asked is essentially Republicans have created distrust in the elections by making claims of non-existent fraud in the elections. And shouldn't we use the distrust they've created in order to enact a voter suppression law, which is the SAVE Act, which would require people to have a birth certificate or passport, documents that millions of Americans don't have. Almost half the country doesn't have a passport, and I don't know where many millions of people would even find a birth certificate. So
but I asked you
phony fraud claims.
But I was asking you a different question. Photo ID, because as you know, let's show up. There was a recent poll. There's been a lot of polls on this, but in one recent Pew poll, 83% of adults support requiring photo ID to vote. 71% of Democrats favor requiring photo ID. Is that something that you can support? And if not, why not?
It's still going to be something, Jonathan. It's still going to be something that disenfranchises people that don't have the proper real ID, driver's license ID, that don't have the ID necessary to vote, even though they are citizens. This is another way to simply try to suppress the vote.
Who has never told you the truth ever, the guy who worked as a conduit between Comer and Clinton and Obama and Russia, getting it out. He's a leaker right to the media. That's the guy who's telling you that it's the Republicans who are sowing distrust, that it's been non-existent fraud. Okay. Well, and you know, it's interesting because they say it's communities of color. It's color, right? That's having such a hard time getting voter ID. Well, here's a woman of color who's like, yeah, right. I love this woman.
What they're trying to do here is the same thing that was done in the South for decades to prevent people of color from voting.
See, this is where my righteous anger pop up because I know what he's saying is a lie. I live in the South. I've been living in the South my whole life on the Gulf Coast. I go to vote every single time there's an election. And guess what? I show my ID. I write my signature. They check to make sure who I am. I go vote. No problems. Nobody asking me any questions. Nobody making me count the jelly beans in the jar. And quit lumping us in the people of color category. We're Black Americans. And we are citizens, and nobody is taking away our right to vote. What they are doing is they're using Black people, going back in the past, provoking emotional manipulation, because they know if they say Jim Crow or slavery, Black people are going to be like, oh my God, he's right. They're coming against us. This has nothing to do with you, Black people. Wake up. People of color he talking about is illegal migrants. They don't have IDs. That's their new voting base. But letting these people use you.
Wow, that is huge. They see it. Come on. Here's John Fetterman. Man, he's going to get tarred and feathered. I don't know. The Democrat Party is going to try to get rid of this guy. He's like, please, voter ID is not racist, and my party knows it.
And now, me as a Democrat, I do not believe that it's unreasonable or to show ID just to vote. And I remind everybody that less than a year ago in Wisconsin, they added that to the Constitution by a 63%, passing to put that in the Constitution that you have to show ID to vote. And they also elected a very, very liberal justice into their Supreme Court. So it's not a radical idea for regular Americans to show your ID to vote. And it's absolutely, those things are not Jim Crow or anything. Of course, that's part of an awful, awful legacy of our nation for so long ago. But where we are now, trying to find a way forward, just trying to call balls and strikes, seeing what's unreasonable. Hopefully we don't have to do, and pay the TSA people and everyone, secure our border, and focus on deporting all of those kinds of criminals wherever they are.
The white guy who had a stroke is still the one on the left who tells the most truth, right? He's like, stop it. Stop beating this dead horse. Everybody knows what's going on. The black woman sitting in her car, she's like, look, even the homeless dumpster diver down the street from my house, he's got an ID. Stop pandering to us, liberals.
I've been having an ID since I was 15 years old. I'm 50 years old. Every black person I know has an ID. You need an ID to drive. You need an ID to go into a club. You need an ID to fly on a plane. You need an ID to go into another country. You need an ID to buy liquor. You need an ID to buy cigarettes. I don't know any black person without an ID. Even the poorest of the poor black people have an ID. JJ down the street that dig in the trash can that I pass by, and he always bothering me about a little bit of money. And when I feeling a little giving, I give him $5. Guess what he do? He go straight into the liquor store and go buy him some liquor. But before he do, he present his ID. So even the homeless man got an ID. Black people, y'all can keep letting these liberals play in y'all face, but Malcolm X warned y'all about these people. They're using you. This is about getting illegal migrants to vote. They don't have an ID, so they don't want any questions whenever they walk in there. They are the Democratic Party new voting base. They are the new slave.
Wow. Holy cow. Now, if there is a way to out-truth that young woman, it's Congressman Wesley Hunt. I want you to hear what he says. This is a veteran. This is a congressman testifying. I think this is 2024. This is how many times, like this is on the cycle, the rinse repeat cycle. Oh, Jim Crow 2.0. Oh, it's slavery. It's racist. Blah, 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 blah. Here's a black man who served his country and continues to do so on Capitol Hill. Enjoy very much obliterating that progressive narrative.
It make the case that being black in America means we can't obtain a government ID to vote. And that's not only a ridiculous assertion, it's demeaning and it's insulting. When it comes down to it, many of my colleagues on the left like to pretend that we're still living in the 1950s. Well, we're not. I've got some good news for you. You see, my parents grew up in a Jim Crow South in the 50s and 60s in New Orleans, Louisiana. Do you know what my father had back in the 40s and 50s before it was even cool? A government-issued ID. And continuing in his footsteps, I too have multiple government-issued IDs. And while that might be shocking to many people in this country, people may ask, how's that happen? It's very simple. It's personal responsibility for all Americans in this country, regardless of what you look like. Sitting with me today is my global entry card, my military ID card, my Texas driver's license, my Texas license to carry, because that's how we roll in Texas, my congressional card, and of course, good old-fashioned American passport. What sorcery is this? What am I, the Black Houdini? How was I able to pull off the impossible and attain not one, not two, not three, but 6 government-issue IDs? Personal responsibility in this country. I fought for this country as an Apache helicopter pilot to protect free and fair elections, and having a government-issued ID isn't racist, it's American. You need to have an ID to drive a car, to check into the airport, open a bank account. You need an ID for basically everything. Be a responsible adult in this country, except for voting, apparently, according to the left.
What kind of sorcery is this? What am I, a Black Houdini? Perfect. Yes, it is ridiculous. It deserves to be treated in a ridiculous fashion. And moron blowhard white stuffed suits, i.e. Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer, and all the others who tried to tell you that that's just not the way it goes. Well, they seem to not understand that we caught on to their BS about 60 years ago. When we get back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Nicki Minaj is having this remarkable voter registration effect. It's like, you want to talk about Houdini? What spell is she cast over black voters? Because they're all doing something pretty amazing. We got it for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. What is he? Black Houdini? I'm like, I love you. All right, so I want to tell you guys about Blood Flow 7. This is what I take. This is what I take every day. I take 2 capsules. I've tried one. I find that 2, the prescribed amount, is what helps me most. In fact, I'm going to start with Blood Flow 7, and next I'm going to tell you about their offering for the whole GLP-1 world. This is that hormone weight loss world with the injections and whatnot that I think you're going to find very interesting. Well, bloodflow7.com/Wendy is the ultimate game changer for me in terms of just sheer focus, sheer stamina, sheer activity. Like what I do, I'm way more productive after I've taken Blood Flow 7. Give it about 3 hours to hit your bloodstream, and the nitric oxide, which is the secret sauce of it, causes your blood vessels, your arteries to open up a little bit so more blood can get through. And when more blood can get through, it does amazing things to your body. Gets to your brain, focus, attention, all of that stuff. You don't hit the wall. You don't hit that point in the day where you're like, oh my God, please let it be time to go home. It's just not, that's not what happens. You're just as productive and as strong and focused as you can be. And it's such a breath of fresh air after the age of 40, because you're just like, oh, something's going on. I just don't have it anymore. Well, you do. You just need more blood flow. bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Telling you what, try 1 month. Write me, wendybellradio@gmail.com. Give me your testimonial one way or another. I'll share it. I wouldn't put my name behind something if I didn't think you were going to be absolutely flabbergasted by it. I have been, period. And it just so happens that I exercise a couple times a week, really hard. And so you can tell. You can really tell with exercise, but you can also really tell if your exercise is pushing a vacuum cleaner and moving laundry up the stairs and taking care of your family and what have you. You're going to notice it. bloodflow7.com/Wendy. I guarantee it. Well, I probably can't guarantee it, but I'll say my money's in that basket. That woman in the car, though, is just, she's like, JJ's, going through the garbage. When I give him $5, where does he go? He goes to the liquor store to get some liquor. Now, what does he show? His ID. Like crazy.
Do you know anyone without an ID?
I don't.
I don't either.
Well, and remember when we were all supposed to get real IDs? Like millions and millions of people did. So where's this huge chasm? It doesn't exist. And then it was like women are too stupid once they get married to change their names. Like I had no problem. I applied for a marriage license. I had to change my name with the Social Security Administration, right? Changed my name, dropped my middle name, adopted my maiden name as my middle name, and adopted my married name as my last name. It was one piece of paper. And lo and behold, when that piece of paper came and I went to go get my new ID, it was not that big of a deal. It's almost like people have been doing it for, I don't know, generations, right? So stupid. How's everybody? How are you guys? What's going on? No bueno. But our numbers, 6,000. Hi, how you doing? I'd love to get closer to 250 rumbles by the end of this first hour. You guys are doing really great. Thank you. Again, if you're new, every day you get to weigh in with a vote, and it's right underneath the video box. It's a bubble with a thumbs up and a thumbs down. That's how you rumble. If you like, hit thumbs up. If you don't. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, it's so dippy. It's so much of the narrative. It's like the left long ago stopped creating new game plans. So they have that tired old playbook and they dust it off from time to time if things seem to be stalling. And they'll find a play that they've used a bazillion times. And they expect us to be like, oh, that was amazing. And it's like, you know, it's like watching the people who own the Pittsburgh Pirates. right? You're going to get some star players every now and again, but you're going to lose them because the owners aren't going to ever cough up enough money to be really big contenders, right? You know that. You go to PNC Park in Pittsburgh because it's a beautiful place to watch a game, and every now and again you'll get to watch a star like Paul Skeens throw, right? Other than that, you know you're going to be disappointed. It's never going to change until the team starts losing serious money. And people stop going, it's not going to change, right? It's not going to change. This isn't going to change. Democrats are going to do the same thing they always do. You know, it's interesting, though. There's 113 countries, full or partially Democratic countries, 113 that require voter ID, that require ID to register to vote or cast a ballot on Election Day. In all districts, 113. The one that doesn't, United States. I mean, that's after Mozambique, Haiti, Nigeria, Pakistan, Nepal, Lebanon. I mean, come on. They think you're stupid. We're not. Nicki Minaj is having quite an effect on black voters. Nicki Minaj fans, in fact, according to Newsweek, say they are switching to the Republican Party. So these fans, apparently they're known as the Barbs, are sharing, this is what Nicki Minaj fans are known by, they're sharing their intentions online to switch to the Republican Party following Minaj's public shift to the right and her alignment with the Trump administration. Today's the day I switched to Republican, one Minaj fan wrote. She did it on X in a post viewed over 300,000 times. As Minaj's pivot encourages her fans to follow suit. So why this matters? Nicki Minaj had previously been outspoken about President Donald Trump multiple occasions during his first term, but his second term in office has been a different story for the pop star. She's like, look, I don't know if we'd call her a pop star, a rapper. In November, Minaj appeared at the United Nations in support of the Trump administration to speak on the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. In December, she was interviewed by Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk and the chairwoman of Turning Point USA. Then, after sharing increasingly supportive social media posts of conservative politics in the Trump administration, Minaj met with Trump and described herself as probably the president's #1 fan. Move has been met with backlash from many of the rapper's fans. Videos of her music being booed in clubs have gone viral. Petitions calling for her deportation have amassed tens of thousands of signatures, and she was mocked at the Grammys by host Trevor Noah. Critics have also argued that she's aligning herself with Trump to secure pardons for her brother and her husband. Not really familiar with that, but it's not moving the needle. Apparently, people are paying attention to what she's saying, and more people. There are various posts here, one viewed over 70,000 times. MAGA Barbs it is. I will never vote Dem again. Officially a Republican. I'll never vote for a Democrat ever again is another fan account. This one viewed more than 300,000 times on X. Now, these accounts are based in the U.S., of course, but these points have resonated with MAGA and conservatives who are seeing this as an opportunity to increase registered voters. Scott Pressler, of course, never seeing an opportunity he can't capitalize on. In a post on X viewed over 230,000 times, said, do any Nicki Minaj fans, if any of you need assistance registering to vote or changing your party voter registration status, I will personally take time to help you. Now, isn't it interesting that when Nicki Minaj came out, and you might not listen to her music. I don't. I really have not been very plugged into her until she came out in favor of President Trump. Isn't it interesting the ones with the knives out who are booing her and saying she should be deported and calling her horrible? These are your Democrats of love and acceptance and inclusion. And of course, most recently, how can we forget joy? Joy and love. Happy, joyful. Joy, right? Look, you do you. But when you tap into hundreds of thousands of black people, and you got a lot of them who are like, I like what you're saying. Yeah, Democrats should probably dust off a new playbook. When we come back, hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program, Democrats sure wanted more bang than they got out of that racist video that Trump put out. We'll talk what happened with that next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I love what these people are saying, though. It's hilarious. Just officially left the Democrat Party. I'm disgusted with the way they've been handling things. Maybe I was blinded. Maybe I didn't know any better, but growth is always the next goal. Let's go, Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj times MAGA for the win. That was viewed 80,000 times. Like the woman in her car talking about voter ID. This is not the exception to the rule. I think that's the rule. I think Democrats better wake up to that. How are they going to get you to vote from home and be afraid if everything's moving away from that, Brock?
I don't know. All I know is I'm going to have some fun after work today.
I'm sure.
I was told I'm lacking joy in my life.
Oh, that's beautiful. If only you had like more capacity for joy.
Can I read you the one response?
Well, you can't because you have to clue people in, and I want to get through one more.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to connect. I just told you guys about Blood Flow 7. Blood Flow 7, Juvenon is the company. They're so confident in their products. They wanted me to talk to you guys about their weight loss superstar, which is called GLP-1 Gold. And this is all under the Juvenon umbrella, bloodflow7.com. And you plug in my name, Wendy30, or just go to bloodflow7.com/Wendy. You're going to get the 30% off. That's a pretty big deal because none of their products is expensive, which is, I thought it was amazing that they're affordable and that they work. So this product is called GLP-1 Gold, and this is to compete with the shots, the weight loss shots like Ozempic, Wegovy, and those. And a lot of people don't want to take that. A lot of people lost faith in big pharma, and they're like, no. This is an alternative for you. Look, cravings aren't about willpower. Cravings are about hormones in your body firing and sending signals, and they don't do that as much. GLP-1 is a hormone, and it plays a major role in telling your brain that you're full and helping you stop eating, right? Well, when that doesn't work as it should, you continue to eat well past time of satiety, and your weight shows it. This product, GLP-1 Gold, gets your natural hormone doing what it's supposed to be doing without the need for injections, without you starving yourself. This supplement triggers that hormone in your body so that you feel full sooner and you eat less. It's not rocket science, but it is science. And my friends at Juvenon know the science well. So bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Yes, there's blood flow, but yes, there's this superstar in their world called GLP-1 Gold. Try it. See the ingredients, check them out, and you'll be like, funny. Nothing on this ingredient list comes from big pharma. There's a reason for that. Tried, trusted, and true. I believe in this company. bloodflow7.com/Wendy. All right. So anywho, you tell them how much you want them to know.
I just responded to.
You better hop on.
I just responded to a comment on Facebook from someone I know that the halftime show, they dropped the ball because they said this was fantastic and this was love trumps hate. And I said, well, my response was just they dropped the ball because if I can't understand it, then what point are you getting across? I'm the average guy, right? I don't speak Spanish. I'm not a world traveler. You know, like you're talking to me. And when you don't put it in English, I can't understand your point. I don't understand it. So who are you getting the message to? That's all I said. This is on someone who's very liberal. And all I did was comment on that, saying they dropped the ball. And I was told
the NFL, you mean?
Yes. And I was told, you know, I didn't understand wasn't smart enough to understand the imagery. Well, what? And I wasn't cultured enough.
Brock, if only you knew a little bit more.
And so as soon as I responded cultured, I said, this halftime show, I equated it to saying Taco Bell is Mexican cuisine. Like it missed the mark. You can't tell, just because it has a flair of something doesn't mean it's the real thing. It's like you can't get General Tso's chicken in China. So don't tell me. And then someone responded, you have an opposite opinion based on complete lack of understanding or unwillingness to understand. Then yes, you're closed-minded. I feel bad for you. You're missing out on so much joy.
Oh,
it's like you.
I love joy.
Excuse my French, but you assholes that know nothing about me. Yeah, I have season tickets to sports. Also had season tickets to the
symphony
theater.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a very educated man. Multiple degrees. Like, spare me your sanctimony. Like, you know nothing about me. You know what my joy is? I get up and go to work with this woman every single day, and I love it. That's joy. I have friends that I don't have to explain why I need their help. They show up. That's joy. Talking to you guys every day, I get to do this for a living. I get compensated to give an opinion. To follow the news? How fortunate am I? Like, joy? You want me to get joy from Bad Bunny? Something I don't understand because I don't speak Spanish? Piss off. I will have it. Just let me tell you, I will have so much fun after work. So much fun. Can't do it now, but I can't wait. Can you see the joy in my face? Yeah, liberals, piss off.
Then there's that.
I hate it.
No, you don't.
I know. Some people know.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with health care and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. You know, there is going to be a day when everything is well known, when everything that you have supposed, have hinted at, have felt, the things that you've seen, the realities that you've dug into to prove correct, whether they be about a virus, whether they be about ballot stuffing, election fraud, whether it's theft of welfare monies that should go to people who actually, all of this, at some point, the veil is lifted. And people have to make sense of where they fall on the spectrum. If you're one of these angry voices who knows very little, but is parroting what they've been basically programmed to say, right? And they deliver to you their sanctimony and their scolding. Oh, you just don't know. At some point, there's going to be a comeuppance of those people, and they're going to have a tough pill to swallow. The majority will be unable to admit that they are wrong because in the progressive model, there is no deviation. There is one marching order. It is this. It is that only. And there is no room for error. They can never be wrong. What a shame. What a shame. And a great number of us will have to make a decision. Is it worth negotiating with those people and giving them a cracked door to come back into our lives? Or have we learned that shutting the door and walking away has been so beneficial to our mental well-being? I think door number 2 is probably where we're going to be. And we're going to have to be okay with that. We are. It is remarkable to me how the Democrat Party has pooed all over Black people. Black Americans have used and abused and pandered and propagandized and stolen from and trampled on and have made so wholly unsafe areas where Black Americans live. It's not safe to live in these sanctuary cities. And yet it's the white morons who come out, beating their drums, playing their guitars to make Black Americans continue to live in danger around drugs and crime and garbage. I'd be done too if I was Black. Time to walk away. The party that has given you nothing. The party that has needed you to be angry and to feel discriminated against. Well, when you stop believing in the nonsense, right? This is why the Democrat Party needs all of these other people, people of color. That's code for illegal aliens that we've spent a lot of time bringing into this country that y'all have paid for, and we just need to get them across the finish line. And we will do whatever it takes. So that happens. You know, they sure wanted a lot more bang for their buck than this video with the Obamas and with Joe Biden as apes or monkeys. Joe Biden's eating a banana, right? Oh, it's racism, portraying Black people as monkeys. Well, Donald Trump was asked about it over the weekend on Air Force One. And he had a beautiful response, and this is it. You never bow to the mob. You never cave to the progressive lunacy that can never be reasoned with, because it is crazy. There is no satisfying it. And unless you're 100% in line with their mind, their train of thinking, you're a danger. This is Donald Trump, the president I voted for thrice, refusing to take up the "I'm sorry, mea culpa" ball and saying, not going to play.
Social media post that you took down earlier today, the White House says that a staffer sent it. Who sent it, and are you going to fire them?
No, I looked at it. I saw it, and I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There was a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud. And I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first part, and it was really about voter fraud and the machines, how crooked it is, how disgusting it is. Then I gave it to the people. Generally, they look at the whole thing, but I guess somebody didn't, and they posted, and we took it down, and we did it. You know, but that was a voter fraud that nobody talks about. They don't like to talk about that post. We took it down as soon as we found out about it.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things. I looked at the beginning of it. It was fine. And they had that one post, and I guess it was a takeoff. By the way, a lot of people covered. If you look at where it came from, I guess it was a takeoff on The Lion King. And certainly it was a very strong post in terms of voter fraud. Nobody knew that was at the end. If they would have looked, they would have seen it. And probably they would have had the sense to take it down. But that was a takeoff on The Lion King. And a lot of people were covered on in different positions. So, but I spoke to Tim Scott. He was great. Tim is a great guy. He understood that 100%.
There you go. I will not apologize. I didn't do anything wrong. Somebody probably should have looked a little closer. Once we saw it, we thought it was inappropriate. We took it down. Do you guys see what he said, though? 4 times. 4 times. He talked about voter fraud 4 times. He talked about it. That was Fulton County, Georgia, 4 times. You didn't catch what that racist video said? Oh, well, we pulled the part that was necessary. The 4 times that Donald Trump was talking about, it talked about election fraud. Let's listen into that video to get the truth.
Initiated by a court order, the Michigan investigation team obtained forensic access to a DS-200 tabulator, the machine that counts the votes. A Telit 4G wireless chip manufactured in Taiwan was discovered embedded into the motherboard. The voting machine tapes clearly indicate modem engagement and transmission of election data. Some of the anomalies that we noticed in the 2020 general elections, that 5 key states all stopped counting at a certain time in these key battleground states. These were all where the software, Dominion machines, ES&S machines were used, the Smartmatic, the GEMS software. So when the vote stopped counting, and this has been noted in other countries as well, President Trump was significantly ahead. When reporting and counting resumed, there was a massive spike occurred that favored Joe Biden.
Notice that the Democrats on Air Force One were not asking about the voter fraud. They all wanted to know about the Obamas portrayed as apes. You know, Pennsylvania cheated, ladies and gentlemen. So did Michigan and Georgia. Wisconsin cheated. North Carolina cheated. Arizona cheated. Nevada cheated. Before the vote stopped, the count stopped on election night 2020. In Pennsylvania, Donald Trump had 57% of the vote to Joe Biden's 41%. In Michigan, before they stopped, Donald Trump was ahead 54% to 44%. In Georgia, he was ahead 53 to 45. In North Carolina, closer 50 to 48. In Michigan, Donald Trump was up on election night 2020 before, miraculously, things just kind of ground to a halt. And there were various things, water main breaks. Oh no, we're going to just stop, which has never happened before in American history. Donald Trump in Michigan was up 54 to 44. And in Wisconsin, he was up 52 to 46. Now, what do you think? What was really important that the president put out in that tweet, that truth? What you just heard. There was an infusion of votes, and all of them went to Joe Biden. In fact, here's a CNN 2020 flashback. It begins with that. And then all these other news stations on 2020, that election night, everything's ground to a halt now in all of these swing states. You'll remember.
This is really fascinating. Again, all of the counties that we're looking at here, Democratic stronghold, Phil mentioned this, all around the Atlanta area. Here's where it gets really bizarre. Fulton County, most populous county, it is Atlanta. They just stopped counting at 10:30 p.m. They stopped counting their absentee ballots. They said they'd pick it up in the morning.
Meanwhile, has stopped counting votes until 9 a.m. on Thursday.
A water pipe has broken in State Farm Arena. State Farm Arena is where they were counting the absentee ballots of Georgia's most populous county. And now the tabulation has stopped.
It's Allegheny, which is Pittsburgh, but also Beaver, part of our county to county, Butler and Westmoreland. They've all stopped counting for the night. They've gone to bed. They begin the process at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Good morning, Heather. They did have to press pause overnight. They will be back in a few short hours, expected to resume counting around 8:30 this morning.
Fulton County is now going to stop counting at 10:30 p.m. and will resume their count at tomorrow morning.
They basically stopped counting tonight. They're going to start counting again in a few hours. It's already tomorrow morning, right?
The election workers stopped counting those mail-in ballots at 10 o'clock. They will be back again tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Of course, they needed to find out how big a lead Donald Trump had over Joe Biden. And they needed everything to stop so they could dump in the fake ballots and make it look like Joe Biden just came out with a nail biter just by the skin of his chinny chin. Right. When 683,000 ballots are dumped in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, and only 3,200 go to Donald Trump, out of 680,000. Houston, do you think there's a problem? There's no evidence. Baseless claims. Right. When we come back, the Victory Channel. We're going to take you back. Perhaps the most damning audio bite they wish they could whitewash from the internet. We got it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Come on, man. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. This is the hottest time of year for the immunity boost from Healthy Cell, okay? You got everybody staying home. It's freezing here, at least in the Atlantic part of, or on the right coast. It is frigid all up and down the coast. Things not so bad in California, but when you're home with your family and your kids are home from school, their little petri dishes of germs and everything, this is where people get sick. This is the time of year for cold and flu. Protect yourself. It's easy to do so with Healthy Cell. And what do? They take formulas of pills and they make them into gels. So you just suck them into your mouth like this. This is a calm mood one. All right. I'm going to take this. I think I should probably give it to Brock. He needs it. When you get nutraceuticals, you get things, adaptogens and things that occur in nature. And instead of going to a pharmacy and getting drugs and putting them into your pills, they go out and they get natural stuff. Stuff that doesn't make you feel edgy, stuff that doesn't make you feel like you need it, but you feel it. This is the calm mood one. And you literally, and because it's in a microgel, your body can process it, absorb it 165% more than a pill, and you get it into your system. This is as easy as it gets. And there are all these different formulas. So your hair, your skin, and your nails. Like if your hair looks poopy in the wintertime, you need some shine, you need some glow on your skin, and your fingernails are kind of thin. Get the hair, skin, nails one, do a month, and talk to me. That's calm mood. I should give it to Brock. Like I said, he needs it. But healthycell.com/Wendy, they have the formulas that actually work. They get into your system because of the way they're made with the microgels. And everything from immune super boost. I'll show you what that looks like. Comes like this. There's a great discount. Comes like this in a packet. And take one a day. Protect yourself. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. They're just terrific. Huge fans of Healthy Cell. And I will say, I think Brock and I both have gotten maybe one illness in the last, 2 years, 1.5 years. Very rarely ill. I'm going to say the supplements and the Healthy Cell stuff that I take, I believe makes a huge difference, as does Sniper, though. When you kill every germ in your house, it helps. Disinfectwithsniper.com.
What's that? Disinfectwithsniper.com.
Disinfectwithsniper.com.
Yeah. Cleans everything in your house. Might as well.
Disinfectwithsniper.com. Free shipping. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Fungal infections, MRSA, parvovirus, SARS, COVID, flu, cold, everything. Spray everything. You don't even have to wipe it off. It works. Countertops, doorknobs, your car. Everything.
I use it in my car.
Your microwave oven, your coffee pot, everything that people touch.
Your cigar room.
Everything. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Game changer.
You got to help me hang my flag tomorrow.
Game changer. Okay. You have your whatever they're called.
Flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know I skipped something, but we're going to go back to it. The Victory Channel.
Yes.
We might I think we'll kill the Fox News alert.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, it's so funny. It took me getting annoyed by a tweet that Elon Musk had put out. And it was a retweet of video of election fraud investigations, a hearing that happened here in Pennsylvania in 2020. And I remember it because we covered it. It made me realize, why are you wasting your time being frustrated by some Puerto Rican guy who you didn't understand, the NFL's decisions that you don't watch? You have no skin in the game. You don't even watch football anymore because Colin Kaepernick took a knee and everybody fell for it, right? They were dead to me at that point. Focus on what they don't want you talking about. And it's this. I remember this from the Victory Channel, their 2020 election coverage. It's a clip that shows this absolutely inconceivable, because it doesn't happen, a vertical jump in poll and ballots being counted. Okay, there's no way that you get this kind of a vertical jump. They're looking at the vote tally in Wisconsin and Minnesota, when all of a sudden 138,000 votes are added out of the blue, all of them for Joe Biden. Do you think that might have been a huge tip-off? Listen.
For Biden? There was not a Trump vote in there. They all vote, and you do not have a place in any state. Maybe Dixville's Notch, where there were 5 voters at the first thing, and they all 5 voted for Biden. Maybe there, but not when you have something of 138,000. You don't all break that way, and it still shouldn't be linear, because you have so many counters that are counting across the way that they're all tallying and reporting, and you don't bunch them in and report one thing. So that doesn't look right for the process. It certainly does not look right for the fact that there is no place of 138,000 where you don't have both candidates represented. I mean, even the bluest city, you're still going to have somebody voting for the other party. And so these two things, it would not be a tight race right now had this not occurred. And this looks like it occurred maybe 4:30 in the morning. This is about 6:30 in the morning. 6:23 a.m. There you go. Here. Well, 6:23 here. There. Yeah, it looks like about 4:30 maybe that it shot up here. So those are the two charts. And now you hear that Nevada has shut down. They're suddenly not counting anymore. So there's some crazy stuff going.
If you had to make a prediction, why would they stop counting in Nevada? I mean, people at home are trying to figure out, what? It's the middle of the day. Why would you even stop?
That's what's inexplicable by all logical, by all political counts. It makes no sense at all. So you would still have people working. You would still have people counting through the day, through the night, trying to get the tally. It makes no sense why you shut everyone down.
How stupid do they think we are? Honest to God. Honest to God. And then you see these TV people, right? I don't care what kind of platform you're on. That's some like faith-based one or whatever. Okay. But they're like, I couldn't possibly fathom what it would be. I do. It's called freaking fraud. There is no way in God's green damn earth that a sleepy, snoozing, dementia-ridden Joe Biden, who was feeble in 2020 when the Democrat Party was like, oh, snap. We've got nobody except that has been. I guess the only thing we got on him is like, I don't know. We've got all of his Ukraine money and the Biden crime family syndicate crap. We could use that as leverage if he doesn't do what we want. But most times we could just have him in his hyperbaric chamber if we can just get him over the finish line. What are we going to do? Oh, I don't know. Well, there's Tony Fauci. Hey, Tony, what you got going on? Well, let me tell you. I got a virus. I've got the Wuhan bat lady, right? I've got China. What can you do? How fast can you do it? Well, I just need one dude to get out of there on a jet plane and fly over here to America, and then everybody will get sick and we can blame Donald Trump. And then we could get all sorts of fake ballots in. Ballots that have never been folded. Ballots that the video shows us pulling out from underneath the tail. I know. All of that crazy video that we've all seen and that nobody in the media ever seems to remember. I'm sorry. Don't you think Donald Trump is racist? Right? It's preposterous. I blew through the entire segment I was going to tell you. Look, stock market 50,000. Huge. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have skin in the game, so I don't really care about the stock market. No, you do. Because the stock market, the health of the stock market, or it's not, is about 6 months to 12 months ahead of quote unquote Main Street. And Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, who I trust more than basically anybody, he's like, you know what? This is a prediction predictor of what is coming the way of Americans. Brace for it. 6 to 12 months. And Democrats can't stand it. Get rid of Trump. Hurry. Whatever you can do. We need to run on affordability. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Tim Walz's behavioral health services under the spotlight. If you're a little fussy now, can I crank up the heat underneath your little, beaker? Let's go next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's so obvious. It's so silly, right? It's just so silly. You get to that point where you're like, I know this is dumb. Like, we all know. The only people who don't are those who've been like, baseless claims. No, non-existent fraud. That's what Adam Schiff said. That Donald Trump wants to talk about non-existent fraud. I'm like, my man, I wouldn't be so absolute if I were you. This stuff going on in Minnesota, though, it's like one thread has led to all these other threads and all of these people who've been getting. This is why when you and I go into a business and nobody seems to be working, we're like, how are you doing so well? Right? Everybody's ripping you off. Feels like that, doesn't it? Everybody ripping you off. So on Friday or Thursday, I read a testimonial of this gentleman who has lost a ton of weight. And he said, when I first came to More Gains Fitness and I met with Kelly, it was in the spring of 2024. He said I'd already lost about 64 pounds on his own, and he weighed 251. And he's like, at that point, my progress was slowing down on the scale, and I had become very discouraged with my weight loss journey. So he started going to Kelly Morgan, and he got on the 90 Ignite program and started paying close attention to all the food, everything he was putting in his mouth. And he started changing the way he was exercising, et cetera, et cetera. And so about a year later, he got on the scale and it said 200 pounds. He had dropped 50 odd pounds with Kelly. And he's like, that doesn't really tell the story. He said, my body composition changes tell the real story. My body fat has dropped from 104 pounds to 57.7 pounds. My body fat percentage has fallen from 41% to 28%. My muscle mass has been preserved, and my other scores have improved greatly. And I was like, I want to know what this dude looks like. Who is this? So Kelly over the weekend sent him to me. Look at the before and after.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. That's nuts. So
That
you could tell that he's lost a lot of weight, right? You probably still has skin, right? In here. Look at this.
Look at his arms, though.
Look at he's jacked. Morgainsfitness.com, MORGAINZfitness.com. So Friday after the show, we went to Dr. Dubiak's office, and I had to put on, it was ridiculous. You'll see it. It'll get posted one of these moments. You could, whatever. I had to do this scale thing where I had to wear like a sports bra and a pair of shorts, frog belly, white, ashy skin. And I'm standing there like, and it's so uncomfortable. And there's all these people in the room. And I'm like, God, I love these. I love our listeners to stand here and do this. You have no idea, right? And so it zooms around, and it's really pretty remarkable. It showed this scale, and it's like, this is something that Dr. Dubiak is going to be introducing to anybody who wants it, to be able to come in and literally stand on this special scale. It's uber expensive, but it rotates around you for a minute and then goes back down. And it can gauge which part of your body has lean muscle mass, which has the fat. And on me, it was 100% accurate, right? It's a little bit in the gut area because I've had 5 kids. And you're not going to get rid of skin, and you're not going to get rid of it unless I had surgery. There's no way you're going to get rid of that. It's just no way. But then it really shows like zhuzh on my thighs and my butt, which is where most women carry it, right? From waist to knees. And that's where mine is. And it shows you exactly the percentage, and it shows, hey, your body fat is this, but the composition of it, fascinating. That video is going to be dropping. And Dr. Dubiak and his wife, Allie, she's phenomenal. They understand all of these tools are things in your arsenal to help you focus on losing weight and getting actual results. So it would be a perfect thing to go in and be like, I need to get on a program because I need help. And what I'm doing isn't working. And it's usually not working because what you think is what you need to eat isn't interacting with your gut the right way or your hormones. And then they figure that out. They figure out your meal plan. You get on it. And then you do the program for like 3 or 4 months and get back on the scale and see how you've completely changed your body composition. It's amazing. Amazing. Right? So bodybyAIM360.com. There's so many things at your fingertips with them. And I really enjoyed I didn't enjoy that scan, but it's educational. It's very interesting for people. And you'll be able to see it. Woof. 412-227-9255. 412-227-9255. Like we're all in that boat. None of us is Barbie, None of us has what we ideally think we want to have. This helps you isolate areas that you can work on. And it gives you you might want to have creatine here. You might want to have some collagen peptides. You might want to have this. And I'm like, okay, great. I love it. The whole 360 thing.
I got on a scale and said, no, thank you.
Then Dr. Dubiak, as we're walking out, he pulls Brock aside. He's like, well, we can do it, just you and me. And nobody needs to know.
Negative.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. This Minnesota stuff, this fraud that is everywhere. It's not just Minnesota. I mean, they're in the crosshairs right now because the spotlight's been shined upon them thanks to Nick Shirley and David Hoke. Right, we've got California now in the spotlight, thanks to Dr. Oz and others, but it's in your neighborhood. It's definitely in Pennsylvania. I mean, for heaven's sakes, yes. I mean, the vast majority of people who seem to be making money, it seems, are defrauding us in some social services way. And so there's this third-party outfit that conducted an audit of specifically Tim Walz as the governor of Minnesota, overseeing this behavioral health services bubble of healthcare spending, right? And, there's always a new reason that we need, whether it's autism or it's mental health stuff or it's addiction stuff or it's whatever the heck it is, right? People need help. We really need to help them. We're all good people. We're like, yeah, we do need to help people. But so much of the money is grift, of course. And this new auditor dropped a report that Tim Walz Department of Human Services created false records and failed to verify grant recipients and then tried to cover it all up. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. We've got Care 11 News. This is I will say this. As a news outlet, their investigations are terrific. But I want to read you just a couple paragraphs before we dial in their investigative reporter guy. A state-commissioned review unveiled Friday confirms what Care 11 investigates has been uncovering for years. Minnesota's Medicaid system had widespread vulnerabilities that allowed questionable billing to go undetected, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars and exposing the program to far greater losses. This vulnerability assessment, conducted by the data analytics firm Optum, reviewed nearly 4 years of fee-for-service Medicaid claims across 14 programs the Minnesota Department of Human Services designated as high risk. These analyses covered claims from January 2022 through October of 2025 and examined roughly 20% of the state's Medicaid billing. The findings point to systemic weaknesses in oversight, billing rules, and enforcement, as Optum's report found vulnerabilities across these 14 programs. Housing stabilization, peer recovery, right? So drug and housing help, early intensive developmental and behavioral intervention. How much of this is mumbo jumbo? Integrated community supports, non-emergency medical transportation, all of the stuff that you saw exposed by Nick, Shirley, and David Hoke. So now I want to dial in some of these audio sounds. It is so mind-bendingly staggering, the cavalier degree with which money was willy-nilly approved and then sponged off of so that it circled back into kickbacks. In this first audio soundbite, they've got this investigative reporter. His name is Lou Raguse. And he says, look, it is so outrageous. Minnesota's staggering fraud is absolutely that staggering. Listen.
According to the nonpartisan legislative auditor, this is another case of mismanagement of taxpayer money. But perhaps the most explosive revelation is that managers within DHS, the Department of Human Services, tried to cover their tracks by backdating and creating new documents.
So not only did you know what you were doing was terribly wrong and against the law, instead of coming clean on it, you decided to try to cover it up. And if we can all just venture a guess here and say the way they mismanaged the money was sloppy at best, like not even verifying the existence of an actual entity providing any kind of services before cutting that entity hundreds of thousands of dollars in grant money, right? Then they try to cover it up equally as poorly. In the second audio soundbite, they get into it. The reporter does. He's like, look, Minnesota's behavioral health services approve hundreds of millions of dollars in grants in Minnesota alone, including one grantee in particular who got a crap ton of money and likely didn't exist. Listen.
Another sobering report by the Office of the Legislative Auditor, this one concerning the Behavioral Health Administration within the Department of Human Services, which issues grants to providers treating mental health and drug and alcohol addiction, hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The audit found them issuing grants to applicants without a bidding process.
So what we saw is that there was multiple entities that could have been eligible, and they chose not to provide a justification for why they were picking those.
This report is quite stunning.
One outrageous example, the auditors found a grantee that was paid $672,000 for 1 month of work without any info on what they do. And the audit says the grant manager who paid it then left DHS a couple days later and became a paid consultant for that company.
To me, that's criminal.
So somebody approving the grant money, right, approves almost $700,000 for a single month of quote unquote some services being allegedly rendered, and then quits and goes to get a job with said company, right? Do you think maybe there is something wrong here? Well, no duh. And these managers who control where the money goes and to who created fake documents, and to whom actually created fake documents to hide their fraud, auditors say they are shocked. Who's shocked? You guys shocked? I'm not shocked. Listen.
Auditor Judy Randall says she was most shocked that during the audit, multiple DHS managers backdated or created new documents to try to cover their tracks.
Frankly, in the 27 plus years I've been with OLA, I have never seen this before. I will say we have had suspicions periodically, but we have never been able to prove it, to document it. And we did in this case. And it's very troubling.
Temporary DHS Commissioner Shireen Gandhi's response.
I was shocked to hear this information in the exit conference, and it is absolutely unacceptable that any staff would provide anything other than accurate representation of the work done to an auditor.
So what are you going to do about it? Right? What are you going to do about it? Do we think Minnesota Democrats are going to do something to clean this up? No. What's going to happen? How do you get the money back? How do you carve it back? What is the plan? Like, I'm so tired of hearing people. I'm shocked. We had suspicions for years, but we're shocked. Where have you been? What have you been doing? We have a lot of willows, I'm afraid, in this country, right? Oh, I don't want to rock the boat. Oh, I don't want to get on anybody's bad side. Ooh, somebody else needs to do that. Where are the leaders? Where are the warriors? Where are the patriots? Where are the people who stand up and say enough is enough? Oh, you mean all the people that got entrapped and accused of stuff they didn't do? And then they were arrested and doxxed, and they were tried, and they were persecuted and prosecuted and thrown. That's what we do with people who blow the whistle in America, ladies and gentlemen. We try to throw them away as fast as possible, like we try to throw away Tina Peters, who has demonstrable evidence of election machine fraud. And I'm sure that pisses Dominion voting systems off, but they can suck it, right? And then over the weekend, this was interesting. This is Bill Malhusian. He's with Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill, who's been traveling around with Dr. Oz. And Jim O'Neill says to him, look, we're suspending all payments, all welfare payments, all of this stuff to the state of Minnesota until officials can prove where the money is going. Like, we need receipts. And so we went out and we said, hey, here's the deal. We're going to give you a deadline. The deadline comes if we don't have receipts on who's actually receiving these benefits. The benefits ain't coming. Listen.
So earlier this week, you and HHS announced that you're pausing all child care payments to the state of Minnesota, and you asked the state to start providing proof for those expenses. You want receipts, you want photos, you want justification for why they need that money. Has the state given you anything yet?
We're still waiting. We told them on Tuesday we need receipts. We're not going to send money to Minnesota, to the state, until we know that it's not going to fraud, and the burden of proof is on them to prove it. So we've asked them to send receipts, and we're eager to review them.
And still nothing yet?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Nothing yet. When we said prove it, right? Prove it. Show us your receipts. Who are the people getting the money? What services are they rendering? Show us your bookkeeping. Show us your records. You've got to have records. You've been spending billions and billions of dollars. They can't provide any. Do you think that's chilling? Oh my gosh, beyond. What an absolute crap show is the state of Minnesota. And this is Jim O'Neill, number 2. He says, look, small business now, the Small Business Administration is identifying all these small business loans to a bunch of people who either don't exist or their businesses don't. What?
So one of the biggest questions is, how was this allowed to happen for so long, right? The Washington Examiner did a little bit of digging, went through some campaign finance reports. Here's an article they put out. It essentially says that Governor Tim Walz received $10,000 from donors who are tied to these Somali-run daycare centers. It says in part, quote, Walz received nearly $10,000 in campaign contributions from supporters connected to these Somali-operated daycare centers. My question to you is, should Governor Walz recuse himself in any of these ongoing investigations?
Well, in investigations maybe, but we're also trying to stop new money from going out at the same time as the investigation. So, for example, at the beginning of December, Dr. Oz sent an excellent letter to Governor Walz demanding a corrective action plan on Medicaid fraud. The state just finally delivered the plan a couple of days ago, and we're reviewing it. We are not going to spend money on Minnesota until we are confident there is no fraud. We are doing something similar, as you said, on child care, demanding receipts. We are going to make sure that the state of Minnesota and Governor Walz is held accountable for ensuring that there is no fraud, both looking backwards and looking forwards.
You guys, how is this any different than than our Congress people voting or allowing $40 million a week? Is it a week or a month? A week to go to the Taliban. Our money. And you've got to go through all these hoops, all of these bells and whistles you've got to get through to stop what is so obviously wrong. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Any of it. Of course, you can't. Clearly, which is why the Democrats super duperly need you worried about voter ID, right? And racism. Those two things, right? Stop talking about fraud when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. Did you guys hear what's happening in California? The DHS actually had to go to Gavin Newsom and say, hey, you've got 33,000 criminal illegal aliens in your prison system who we need to get. What is Gavin Newsom's response? I'll release them all into the streets. Oh my. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Is it already 30 odd degrees here in Pittsburgh?
I have 24.
You have 24. Okay. We've got the weirdest weather going on. I woke up, it was -6. And then by the time I get home this afternoon, it's supposed to be like 35. Tell me how that happens.
Make that make sense.
Make that make sense. All right.
A big ball of fire in the sky.
Hard to know.
And, you know, in fairness to Minnesota, let me take the opposite view. You can't expect them to create all these receipts in a lickety split. It's going to take time to make them look
Manufacture
authentic.
them, Brock,
Get
you're
them together,
absolutely right,
put
right.
staple holes in them so they look legit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, give them time.
Push them through the ringer a few times.
It's not fair to them.
This looks like, here it is.
Wait. Oh, yeah, I found this in the bottom of the drawer. You know, like, give them a chance to make it look legit. Quit pushing them.
I know. Got to give people time to cover their cheats. Right? Is it so ridiculous?
It is.
And then, again, the abject, cavalier nature of the fraud from you. They're like, sucks to be you, bro. I don't know. Let's talk about who we want to talk about. Who do I feel right now? Dr. Rafferty. He said he was sending me all sorts of new testimonials, and I haven't gotten them. Come on, Doc. Focus. Focus. Dr. Richard Rafferty at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh grow people's bulging and herniated discs back in their back and neck. You're like, what? That was a huge mouthful. What did you just say? Yeah. Yeah, the staggering number of us who will need a spine expert in our lifetimes need to pay attention to this message. If you have a bulging or herniated disc, it can grow back. It can be repositioned. It can be manipulated. It can be controlled and regenerated non-surgically, which is like, wow. 412-906-9600. 412-906-9600. And I'm sure, judging by just the mock-up of the spine that is on one of the tables at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, it kind of shows you like, here's a healthy vertebrae, right? It's like your teeth. Here's your healthy mouth. And here's the one that's all gnarly. And I was like, holy cow. He says, oh yeah, I see people like that. I was like, can you help someone like that? He's like, no, that's usually surgery. But there's other stuff we can fix. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So if you're in pain, you know it's your discs, call 412-906-9600. Why not see if you can get relief before you roll the dice on a risky operation? PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. It's called intradisc neutrosis. 98% successful. Pay your fair share. Sorry. It's creepy. See how you guys are doing. Do we at least have like 2.5? 262. That's stinky. We need 3,000 rumbles. And if you watch the show after hours, you can still rumble. It still counts. I think it counts up until like 9 o'clock at night.
Is it 9 or 8?
8 to 9, somewhere in there. Yeah. DHS wrote this, which is just nutty. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I wish I could have an honest, non-emotional conversation with a Democrat, because I would just very calmly ask, like, why are you a Democrat? And you can't say anything about the other side. I want to know why you believe in the Democratic Party. What do you get? Why do you prefer that? Because I can't think of a thing. I think for the longest time, the Democrat Party's claim to fame was their compassion. Oh, we're feely. We're touchy-feely. We're about inclusion. Oh, people are welcome. Oh, look at our ugly rainbow, right? Oh, look at that. Everybody, oh, it's such a good, we have joy. We are good people. I don't know. Then do you really want Gavin Newsom as one of the leaders of your party? Because this doesn't make sense. This is an article, or just it's kind of like a one sheet put out by the Department of Homeland Security. And it's entitled Sanctuary Calamity. DHS and ICE urgently call on Gavin Newsom in Sanctuary, California, to not release 33,179 criminal illegal aliens, including murderers, sex offenders, and drug traffickers from jails back into California communities. Why would anybody do that? I mean, those are the people who threaten all of us. 33,000 criminal illegal alien murderers, sex offenders, drug traffickers. Why ever would they be bounced back onto the streets? Well, there are currently 33,179 aliens in California's custody with active detainers. That means that ICE has their number and is ready to deport them, right? California is like the last stand for all things imported, criminal or not, because we've got to get them across the finish line and we've got to get them voting. So if we release them from prison and we put them out in general population of California or other places, I mean, yeah, it's going to make your family totally unsafe. But, hey, it's for the greater good, really. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Acting Director Todd Lyons sent a letter to California AG Rob Bonta. Rob Bonta, how you feeling, Rob? Calling on him to put the safety of Americans first and honor ICE arrest detainers of the more than 33 criminal illegal aliens in California's custody. California's failure to honor ICE detainers has resulted in the release. These are already the people who are milling around, who shouldn't have been released, but were. Has resulted in the release of 4,561 criminal illegal aliens since January 20th. I'm going to say of last year, probably. The crimes of these aliens include 31 homicides. Oh, goody. 661 assaults, 574 burglaries, 184 robberies, 1,489 dangerous drug offenses, 379 weapons offenses, and 234 sexual predatory offenses out of 4,500 criminal illegal aliens that have already been released from prison back into the general population of America. Why would you do that? You know why they would do that. They need these people. And if it means putting you and your family in danger, if that means your daughter getting killed by some lunatic illegal alien drunk behind the wheel who doesn't know how to drive a car but is, well, it's just part of it. Like, if you're abducted from your home or people want to drill a nail into your hand to get you to tell them what your ATM code is, and then they shoot you and beat you and put you in a bag and dump you on the side of the road thinking you're dead, well, I'm sorry, but that's just kind of the deal. Democrats, how do you defend that? How do you defend 5,400 criminals milling around with the rest of us? How do you defend there could be 33,000 more? And you know what they're going to do? They're going to go and they're going to terrorize people in specific areas. It's usually not the white neighborhoods, guys. They're usually not going into the posh gated communities that are patrolled by armed services and by, homeowners with firearms and security systems. These are the people the white boomer liberals want to hang out exclusively in the inner city to torment black and brown people there, How do you do that as a Democrat? How do you reconcile that in your mind and say, you know what? That's a party that represents my values. You don't. You don't. And they know it. When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program, it's amazing and it's sickening to see what's happening in New York City. The death toll is up after the cold snap there. Where is Mom Donnie? Oh, he's raising taxes. Same with Abigail Spanberger. Oh, boy. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I'm going to go to the bathroom. You have to go?
Nope. It's not often I look forward to something after work. Looking forward to today. You have to, I don't even appreciate the myopic view of liberals. They're going to judge you on just one statement. They're going to wrap you up into everything you are in one statement. And it's not even a statement. I'm going to go into a little bit of a rant. It's an opinion that opposes theirs. They're going to wrap you up and assume they know exactly who you are because that's what they've been fed. You see the talking points, you see the same usages of words that the mass media has fed them. There's no independent thought. There's no ability to see outside of their little bubble that they watch, that they pay attention to. Void of fact, void of details. It's just it's mind-boggling sometimes that these people assume to know exactly what you're thinking and your approach. And the minute you give them something that is factual, they go to, well, I can't have a conversation with you. I can't talk to you. You don't understand. It's just amazing to me that people will sum you up and assume that you live under their worldly view. I was going to say, did it get cold in there for you too?
Gee whiz. Yeah. No, you're right. Gavin Newsom doesn't care. Yeah, you're right. What are you talking about beer for?
I wasn't.
Oh, somebody had lots of talk about IPAs.
Oh, well, I will have one after work.
Wow. I have no flavor for it. My stomach is a little queasy.
I'm calling fake news on that.
He's like, what have you done to my friend?
Yeah, I have. I'm calling fake news on that. I partake this weekend.
I think it was took. Did you say partaked?
Partook.
It seems normal to say partook. Where am I missing that? Where did it go? Anywho, let me tell you about somebody. Let me tell you about Dr. Simkovich. I'm telling you what, I'm thinking that more and more, he's the secret sauce to so much of sanity in life. Like if you could go somewhere and have somebody adjust you, like a chiropractor. So Dr. Simkovich is a chiropractor, but what his specialty is concussions and traumatic brain injury. And I didn't realize that you can't just go to the hospital and get an MRI or get an X-ray or what have you, a CT scan, and have a doctor be like, oh, there it is. Do you see it right there? Because that's not how brain injuries work. And you can be injured down at the cellular level. That's not popping up on an X-ray. So you need to go to somebody who knows what they're doing. And Dr. Simkovich has been doing this for decades. And what he does is obviously what he does with his hands involves your adjusting of your face and your soft palate and all these other things. But it's an immersion thing. He's like, I want you to block out a period of time because we're going to fix you. And your first day might be an hour and a half here. Your second day might be 3 or 4. Your third day might be 3 or 4, and your fourth day might be 2. But at the end of that time, you're going to walk out so much better than you came in. Have clarity. You're going to have focus. You're going to feel better. You're going to have what you feel like you lost after you got hurt. He restores those things to you because he can feel them. He can identify these pieces of your soft palate and move things and pull things and twist you. I'm telling you what, the stories that I've read simply by going to SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366, 412-366-3700, 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. Please go. I would even say, even if you just suffer from chronic headaches, because he touched Brock's face and pushed a piece of him over here, and Brock kind of winced a little bit. He's like, you're tender right here. And Brock's like, yeah. And Dr. Simkovich was like, how many times a week do you have headaches? And Brock was like, a couple times a week. And he's like, that's not normal. You shouldn't have 3 to 4 headaches a week. Shouldn't be having that. We can fix that. Oh, my gosh. If I had only known him when I was a little girl. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. It is freezing in here. Holy mackerel. Who do we talk to? See, my problem is they'll probably turn on heat, which is worse. Because then you're like, 55 doesn't need help with that. I do look like I need to go to Costa Rica. I'm going to go out and get a quick tan.
Here we go. You got 10 seconds to tan.
Isn't that great?
Wow, look at you.
I know. Oh, no.
Did it break?
No.
Oh, no. I've been through this before. Tears were shed.
No.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. As always, a delight to be with you. Hey, if you're listening and you'd like to watch, kind of weird to have a radio show that you can watch all 3 hours of commercial breaks and all, but you can. Go to wendybellradio.com, get our app, get it onto your device. 7 million people already have, and we're marching our way towards 8. Glad you're here. You know, it's interesting when you consider the Democrats are never for you. They use you, right? They use victim segments of the population to glom onto and to hold on to. That's where the sanctimonious do-goodery of idiocy comes in, right? That's the phrase that I had to coin to try to encapsulate the progressive wacko woke mind. There is this overarching sanctimony, this syrupy better than you thing that is really off-putting on the left, right? And this is how they wrap stuff for you. Oh, we need to do these things because it's so important, because so-and-so can't do it for themselves. What kind of person are you? A monster? And you're like, no, I think I pay enough. And I don't trust how you spend my money anyhow because you're a Democrat. Oh, you must be a MAGA extremist. And you're like, okay, I believe in limited government. And you're not it, right? So bing, 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 they're not for you, but they are for taking your money, right? That's what all this jazz is all about. I feel for New York. I feel for California, but it's also not so much. You know, I feel for people stuck in situations in zip codes that are poorly run. But until you rise up and demand better, right? This is why this slow walk in Minnesota, you know, we're aware of all of this fraud and we need to stop the fraud. Where is that push? Who's ahead of that? Where is it full steam ahead? Where are the arrests? Where are the indictments? How do we stop it? It's almost more insulting to know about it and to know that nothing's being done to stop it. And then you have people like Zoran Mamdani. Look, if you need a poster child of voting dumb, right? He's the guy. You got a bunch of young, white, college-educated liberal chicks, the scourge of our society, swooning over him. Oh, he's so dreamy. I love his high taxes. I think it's just super sexy. Why do you vote for these people? They tell you out of the gates what they're going to do. At least he does. He's like, I'm going to tax the ever-loving liver out of you, and you're going to like it. Thank you, sir. Can I have another? Really? I want you to hear a couple audio sound bites here. So you got 18 people since this cold snap, probably 2.5 weeks ago on the East Coast. 18 people dead. 18. That is tragic. When you don't have a move to get your homeless off of the streets before the temperature plunges into the sub-zero zone. I mean, your survival outside without a covering is next to nothing. You're not going to make it. Well, 18 people in New York City died over the last couple weeks because of the elements. You've got mountains of garbage, right? You've got millions of people who live there. You need to have around-the-clock garbage collection, which is when I live there. That's what it is. Every night, all night, beep, beep, beep. That's the garbage collecting. All night, every night, 24 hours a day. It's how it goes, right? Until you get walloped with a major winter storm and you've got no way out of it. Now you've got rats that are the size of my dog Murphy. Okay? He's 65 pounds. I'm exaggerating. They're huge. You've got disease, whatever the hell that's called, right? You've got all sorts of problems going on in New York. That does not stop the communist Zoran Mamdani from hitting the gas full speed ahead. Only one thing, and that is overtaxing the crap out of everybody. I've got these great pie in the sky ideas. We're going to make everybody equal because that works all the time, right? We're going to take from the rich. We're going to give to the poor and everybody's going to live in heart. We're all in this together, right? All vote for me. Yes. Well, listen to what his plan is. Literally, Zoran Mamdani is going to tax the liver out of businesses, just like New Jersey does, which is going to make more businesses leave New York City. And he goes, wait a minute, but if you try to leave and you're still wanting to do business here, we're going to track you down wherever you move, and we're going to tax you there as well. Sounds so loving. Let's listen in.
So let's talk through these policy points. Freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. does not require money from the city. It is a determination made that landlords cannot increase the rent for those about 1 million apartments. That's something the city has done before. Making buses free costs around $700 million. Providing universal childcare costs about $6 billion. These are significant amounts of money. They have to be understood in the context of a $116 billion city budget, a state budget of more than $252 billion. The money that we would raise to fund this agenda is in two parts. The first is by increasing the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey. That would raise $5 billion. This would only impact the most profitable corporations, ones that are making millions of dollars in profits. The second is to increase... Please.
You're sure they're not going to leave it. Y esas compañías no se van a ir de Nueva York. They're not going to leave New York.
So the way that this tax works is it applies to any business doing business here. They could be located in Miami, but if they're doing business in New York, it applies to them. And the reason I believe everyone will keep doing business here is our economy is so large that if it was a country, it would rival the top countries in the world.
Until it's not. Until enough companies say, yeah, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm moving. There's another place where the garbage gets collected, where people don't freeze to death on the street, where rodents aren't the size of house cats, and where there's a mayor who doesn't see me and my individual entrepreneurial success as a tax stream. It's all it is. You are a revenue stream. You are a cow, and he's pulling on your udders. And the better you do, the more you get yanked. There's never anybody who's like, hey, great job. Wonderful job. Can you show everybody else the secrets of your success? It's you make too much money, and so we're going to be the great equalizer. And we're going to hunt you down. And if you want to do business here and you live somewhere else, well, we'll tax you anyway. Well, good time not to do business in New York. New York is going to become Gotham City, if it's not already well past on its way, right? And then he says, well, beyond that, we need to force the rich to pay their fair share. We got to squeeze these millionaires. You're not allowed to have all sorts of money when people are suffering. It's only just a little here and there. You can afford it. This is the mentality of a communist.
The second is personal income taxes. I think that the top 1% of New Yorkers who make $1 million or more a year should pay 2% more in personal income taxes. That would raise $4 billion. These are the two major revenue points. But as you've also said, I want to make sure that every dollar we have today is also a dollar that we are spending in the fullest way possible.
Right. In the fullest way possible, bending you over as many times as you can, right? Until finally the bucket comes up empty. Well, welcome to Mayor Zohran Mamdani's New York City, where if the homeless aren't left to freeze to death due to the warmth of collectivism, the cold shoulder to the rule of law leaves carjackers free to steal vehicles with elderly blind men inside and then dump them miles away. Did you guys hear about this? In the Long Island City neighborhood of Queens, a 34-year-old man thought he would be perfectly fine leaving his blind 72-year-old father inside his Subaru while he made a quick run into Target on January 17th. Instead, a man jumped into the car and took off with his father in tow. Both the car and the man were found 3 miles away at 53rd Avenue and 44th Street. The suspect apparently fled the scene before police arrived. There were no injuries. Thank God. Guy was in the car, but he's blind. He didn't know what was happening because he has Alzheimer's, too. The thief, according to the man's wife, said nothing as he drove off, with the blind guy completely confused. Later emerged he has dementia. He called calling my son. Nobody answered. The son, meantime, noticed something was amiss. You think? Because he went out to get his Subaru and it was gone. Gone. Now, could that happen anywhere? Of course. Do I want to pile on Zohran Mamdani in New York City because they're destroying it? Yes, of course, right? See, they don't want to care about crime. They don't want to protect people. They don't want to do anything that's good for the people of New York. They want to do these radical things, free child care, free transportation, rent freezes, all of this mumbo jumbo. And in order to do that, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't mean pulling back our expenses elsewhere. It means dipping into your pocketbook even more. And when we come back, I just have a few. I mean, obviously, you guys know about what's been going on in Virginia. As the lawmakers there start like 50 new taxes and give themselves 150% pay raise. Do you get it yet? Why do you vote Democrat? I don't know. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, well, we're going to do a little truth about taxes. If you could carve out all of the fraud and we just paid some kind of income tax, how much would it take to actually fund the government? Oh boy. Oh boy. You might need to sit down for this one. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. This is just one of those stories where you're like, oh my gosh, no way. Ireland contracting. Okay, so we're going to get a nice little thaw. And that's a good time to take a look. Ooh. To take a look at your home exterior. Take a look at your house if you live in Southwestern land before time. And think about maybe doing a project. What kind of a project? Well, you could put on some fresh siding. I've got some siding on one side. Well, a couple sides of our house, but it's beadboard, plank beadboard. Really beautiful. Really beautiful. There's so many different designs, so many different styles to fundamentally change the exterior of your home. First of all, a new roof is huge. That's expensive, but getting one is a huge triumph, right? It makes things so much safer, warmer, and more secure, but the look of it is fantastic. IrelandContracting.com. If you need new windows, they have them. Double hung casement, vinyl, wood, bay windows, all of it. New front doors, storm doors, IrelandContracting.com. The outside of your house, the soffit, the fascia, the gutters, the downspouts, the gutters and the downspouts, sexy, not at all. Oh my gosh, so important. I found that out the hard way. IrelandContracting.com. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. They're great. Great, great, great. I'd like to know what something is going to reasonably set us back as a project. That's great because Ireland Contracting will come to your house free of charge, give you an estimate. And I think the estimate's good for a year. So, like, you could go and shop around. You could save your pennies. You could figure it out. And in 364 days, that price is still going to be that price. Ooh. The stuff that's going on in Virginia is like, oh my gosh. We just have to monitor Virginia really well because we're going to do like a before and after, you know. This is what it was like when you thought your life didn't suck, and then this is what had happened when Democrats suck the life out of it. Because you're not going to have anything left. Until people rise up and there's a mutiny. And they're like, no. Not paying anymore. Guess what I heard this morning? Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep.
Have you got a response from
Beep,
them?
beep, 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 beep. No. No. I'm going to resend. Beep, 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 beep. I'm going to resend.
What you should do is go down and record it.
Oh my God.
And send them the voice recording. And be like, this is what I hear all day long.
I really like this company too. The people are great. There's something fundamentally wrong. I don't know what it is. I don't know. The taxes are ridiculous. Let's see how you guys are. We should have hit 3,000 by now. Holy smokes, 110 to go. I will say, you guys are slow and steady, though. I kind of like fast.
Well,
I know. I don't want to wait. I don't want to sit here and wring my hands, be like,
You don't want to wait for him to catch up. Who did Ricky Schroeder to catch up? He just wanted to race to the end.
Oh,
Ricky.
Virginia is going to be a very interesting case study in being screwed over by a Democrat, right? So you've got Abigail Spanberger. She's like, I'm a moderate. I'm a total moderate. In this Commonwealth, I'm going to represent all people. There'll be nothing weird or radical at all about me. And it's like, right. After she took her hand off of the Bible, she was like, all right, let's go. So now they've got an additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities. They have a new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment. Remember when everybody tried to browbeat you? Ditch the gas, go for the electric. Now they're like, screw you, pay up more for that. There's a large employer tax. There's a gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets. Oh, goody. There's delivery tax, which would hit Amazon, Uber Eats, FedEx, and UPS orders in Northern Virginia. There's an investment income tax, an event tax, storage facility tax, gym membership tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, counseling tax, digital personal property tax, new car taxes and highway use fees. There's an increase in the hotel tax in Arlington. Statewide speed cameras. It's not a tax, but more fines for drivers. There's a vehicle repair tax, a home repair tax, a dry cleaning tax. It's almost like you guys catch my drift. By the way, they've added a new 8% tax bracket for income between $600,000 and $1 million. Oh, adding more on to penalize you for doing well, despite them and their vampirish ways, right? Now, can you imagine? All of us would say, I'll pay my fair share if we can agree on what fairness is. I pay every year. I pay estimated taxes. Then when my estimated taxes are late, they're like, screw you. Here's a fee for you and your husband just because you didn't pay on time. And I was like, well, what's the difference between me paying estimated now and paying all of it later? You're getting my money one way or another. I hate them all. This is a video that I think is really intriguing, and it's set to South Park. So the characters are little South Park characters, but it basically goes through the truth about how much the government really needs of our money to work. And it's far less than we give. Watch.
In America, we don't have a tax problem. We've got a third world problem. This is not an exaggeration. The United States collects over $2.4 trillion in income taxes every year and then burns $1.5 trillion through fraud, waste, and third world robbery. If the elites actually did their jobs and cut out the waste, the government would only need about $900 billion to function. And here's the crazy part. That would mean anyone earning under $500,000 a year could pay zero income tax and everything would still be fully funded. So if this money isn't funding our future, whose dream is it really building? Look at Minnesota. The Somali daycare scandal gave us the answer. Billions of dollars you worked for, money meant to feed hungry kids, was diverted through fake daycare centers, phantom meals, and paperwork designed to approve. Not question, no kids, no food, just checks. Your hard-earned labor was turned into Lamborghinis, beachfront mansions, and luxury vacations most of us will never experience, even after a lifetime of honest work. On top of that, your tax dollars were routed to foreign organizations the U.S. military is fighting. Let that sink in. We went from defending liberty to bankrolling the threat. That's not compassion. That's collapse. And when systems fail like this, they don't admit mistakes. They don't apologize for wasting your money. They dig deeper into your pockets to fund their failure.
That's exactly what's going on in New York. It's exactly what's going on in California. It's going on in Virginia, right? Again, so I go back to that original question. Why do you vote Democrat? Because I simply don't see it. And I could be wrong. Maybe there's something wonderful going on there, but I know there's not. Look, I can very quickly defend why I'm a Republican, why I am a conservative woman. The whole idea on the right side of the aisle that people get out of your way, that they stop gumming up the works, That the red tape and the regulations and the rules made by stupid progressives and their great ideals, which always are horrible and suck, right? That we would carve these obstacles out of your way so that you can create something, you can have an idea, and you can make that idea real. And you can invest your money into that. And you can put that thing out on the market and you can try to sell it and you can try to make money from it. And we're going to get out of your way. Democrats, they want a hand in all of it. The development, the materials, the negotiations. They want to have a hand in all of the regulations about it. And then, of course, they want to cut after you sell it. They want a big chunk of it because God knows you wouldn't be where you were if it wasn't for them, right? You didn't build that. Remember when Barack Obama said that? You didn't build that. You didn't create that. That's not you. That's us stealing from you. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, this is a story that's going to drive you nuts. Remember Event 201, Bill Gates did this pandemic scenario just in case, right before COVID. You know, Chris Wray did that with the FBI right before the 2020 election. What do you suppose they knew that we didn't? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Freezing. Yeah, here's an article. Democrats pounce on Virginia taxpayers. Right? I mean, this is crazy. Virginia is poised to become a tax hiking outlier in a region full of states that are phasing out their income taxes. Immediately upon seizing control of the government, Virginia Democrats introduced the following bills that seek to impose an array of new and higher taxes. And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 right out of the gates. And these are like new sales tax hikes in various transportation districts, firearm and ammunition, equal to 11% of the gross receipts from the retail sale of any firearm. Are you kidding me? No. And so the exodus will happen. More people will flee the state. They'll leave, go to the red states, income tax free and hassle free. All right? This isn't complicated. Who have I forgotten, Brock? I think I got everybody.
You have.
Gosh, I'm good. Brock shared this with me this morning. Did you know how pissed I was going to be?
Wait, what?
Did you know how annoyed I was going to be when you sent me this Just the News article? Or that I would love it? Like, not love it, but that we would talk about it?
Well, I sent it to you this morning.
I know. That's what I said. Are you still fighting with people on Facebook?
No.
Really?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me wants to tell them I'll respond through a live.
Oh.
Please tune in.
You're a little fussy.
Well, it's... I don't like to make assumptions about people. I try to, like, my mentality is if someone's flipping me off in the car or whatever, I try to just let it go because I don't know what kind of day they're having. I don't know what's happened in their life. Maybe flipping me off makes them feel better, whatever, you know. But when you make assumptions about people and when you sanctimoniously disregard their opinion, when you open it up to people, and when you try to talk down to them without sounding like you're trying to talk down to them, and they don't know who you are. They know nothing about you. You know, like that's where I draw the line. You know, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I try, and it's just, and I know going in on that page that they're all going to gang up, which I'm fine with, you know, but they never want to. They want to type, right? You offer them, fine, let's do this. We'll do it live. Come on, let's do it live. I have a platform that I can. Let's do it live.
How about we just meet in person and just chat? Why does it have to be broadcast?
Because they can hide. I've nothing to hide. I know who I am. There's no pretend here. If you don't like me, I really don't care. And I'm not going to put anything out there. Like, I am who I am, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't pretend to be something that I'm not. I don't backstab people. I don't say one thing in public and do another in private. Like, and a lot of these people that I'm dealing with do exactly that. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to deal with these people where you can talk to them, but whatever.
See, that's one of the benefits of having my page hacked is that
They have your what?
having my page hacked, I can't get into conversations with people on Facebook.
And I really hate well, I can't even have a conversation with you. It's not intelligent. I can't.
That's code for you're going to kick my butt. And I can't, and I know I can't win. And so therefore, this is well, and it's interesting too. If you try to argue with a liberal, they yell and they get very defensive and shout over you.
Yeah.
And you're like, easy, check the emotions at the door. I'm not yelling. I'm not here to argue with you. And then the more calm you are, the more angry they are. Right?
I don't have to say you're
but
stupid.
Then they fight. Yeah, the fight. I always thought it was kind of weird that in October of 2020, Bill and Melinda Gates and their foundation did was it November of 2020 or 2019? I forget. It was right before COVID. And they did this Event 201 thing in Manhattan, right? We're going to get all of these people, these medical health professionals in the media. Let's get some of these emergency responders. Let's get some people like hazmat teams. Let's get the medical community together. We're going to do this. We're going to do kind of this weird scenario, right? We're going to train for something. Hopefully it never happens. Like, that would be terrible if it did. But it's going to be a global pandemic. And you and I were like, say what? Why on earth would we all of a sudden now be doing global pandemic preparedness training? And we're going to have mock drills. That person, that's not really a dead body, but we're going to pretend it is. And we're going to see, oh, what do we do? What do we do when this news hits? Like, what are we all going to agree to do? And it was like, that is so peculiar. And then like 3 months later, it was like, blah, 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 global pandemic. Oh my gosh. Right. And we're like, that is so weird that they planned for it right before one happened when there really was never one in our lifetime. Like the last one was what, 1920 or whatever it was. Like, wow, that's so weird. It's almost like y'all were planning on it. I mean, that's just me, and I could be a conspiracy theorist. But anyway, let's read this memo together and see if it seems somewhat familiar. This is from justthenews.com. Headline. You literally cannot make it up. FBI secretly prepared for disputed election and political violence in 2020. Bombshell January 6 memos show. Wait, what? What did they know and when did they know it? The memos from 2020, recently turned over to Congress by FBI Director Kash Patel, also warned that foreign enemies like Iran and China were likely to foment domestic violence on U.S. soil. Okay, well, let's read about this. The FBI conducted a tabletop exercise in the summer of 2020 that imagined what sort of violence might ensue in a contested presidential election year, devising strategies like undercover informants and mass prosecutions for minor crimes that it would later use with the January 6th Capitol riot, documents obtained by Just the News show. Full stop. Let's not move past that. A tabletop exercise conducted by Chris Wray's FBI in the summer of 2020. So a few months before the 2020 presidential election, to role play various violent episodes that could ensue if a presidential election that was just coming up a few months from then was contested. Right? Why ever would you role play that? Why would you think to yourself, you know what? I got a vibe. There's going to be another once in a lifetime global pandemic sometime soon. I just think we should have our ducks in a row, right? Let's just make sure we're prepared. Right? No, you didn't. FBI Director Kash Patel turned over the long secret memos to Congress last week, providing fresh evidence that federal law enforcement was acutely concerned for months ahead of the election about the potential for violence in the aftermath of it. Why ever would that be? Because they were going to do something that was going to piss a lot of people off, guys. The memos show the Bureau's Boston office led the tabletop exercise and culled open source information on the potential for violence from both left-leaning anarchists to right-leaning extremists. Who are those people? I don't know who the right-leaning extremists are. The FBI assesses domestic violent extremist threats related to the 2020 elections likely will increase as the election approaches, despite the current focus of many DVEs on the COVID-19 pandemic and civil unrest, an August 2020 memo concluded. Election-related threats include but are not limited to those against candidates, campaign events, presidential conventions, party offices, elected officials, voter registration events, and threats or plots related to electoral outcomes, the memo added. Geez, it's almost like Chris Wray and the FBI were in on, look, here's what we're going to do, okay? There's no way Joe Biden's going to win. He's an idiot. Everybody hates him, okay? I mean, he was a plagiarist back in 88 when he ran. Nobody liked him then. It's only gotten worse. And this fake guy who we pretend to be Joe Biden, whose ears don't match at all. Like, we don't really think this guy's going to get across the finish line. So we're going to make some contingencies and we're going to prepare for our plans when we create violence that then necessitates a response, right? This wasn't authentic. This wasn't like, oh, what happens if? It's like, we're going to create a situation so ridiculously preposterous that nobody's going to believe it at all. And people are going to be like, say what? And we need to create some kind of a situation that creates the smoke of the smoke screen. tell me that's not what this is. The memos also warned that foreign enemies like Iran and China were likely to foment domestic violence on U.S. soil. We didn't need Iran or China to do that. You just need the freaking Democrats, right? We don't have to farm people in to be sucky. We've got them right here. Many left-leaning advocacy groups insisted, with the assistance of legacy media, that the concept of foreign election interference should be dismissed as mere conspiracy theories and disregarded, but the memos show the FBI considered it a real possibility. Quote, as of 15 July 2020, the governments in the People's Republic of China, Iran, and especially Russia appear to have broadly encouraged illegal activity and violence in the hypothetical event that 2020 presidential election results are disputed, especially via the use of opportunistic social media-enabled influence operations. Really? China and Iran were motivated to interfere with U.S. elections and civil stability by an interest in undermining U.S. democratic processes. I'm sure that's the case, right? I'm sure that's the case, but that's not even really why I'm upset about this, right? The long secret memos memorializing the exercise. Again, we're going to do a training sort of Spitfire role play. This is like the people who are training for Ice Watch. Show up at our community center and we'll show you how many whistle blows, beep, 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 and then what to do if you're recording ice and you think things are going to, we're going to role play. I don't know about you guys. I have a job. I have a couple jobs. You have a job? You guys have time to role play? Right? You're like, let's do that, said nobody who wasn't trying to do something nefarious. They knew damn well what they were doing in the 2020 election. They knew what was coming. They knew what was involved. I have no doubt they knew that there was a virus that was going to be dropped. Come on, please. How else do you get all the mail-in ballots? You don't, right? Well, Barry Loudermilk, the chairman of the House Judiciary Select Committee on January 6th, this is the guy who's dropping these details. He goes, look, the memos show the FBI had far more concerns about a disputed election and violence than it acknowledged during the Biden years, and yet failed to adequately alert the U.S. Capitol ahead of the January 6th tragedy. Well, geez, why was that, you guys? Because it was concocted. January 6th was meant to happen. They needed the confidential human sources, i.e., the FBI agents who then quickly changed in the back room and put on their scarf. There was an American flag and a MAGA hat. And they're like, look at me, I'm MAGA. And then started pushing actual protesters in the audience, getting everybody pissed off. And then the Capitol Police were like, oh, it's madness. Fire on those people. Rubber bullets, madness, mayhem. People fall off of the scaffolding. Right? And then you have your media sitting back. It's an insurrection. And you and I were like, wait a minute, I've never heard that word before. Why is everybody using that word? Because it was all planned. They role freaking played it. And the FBI was hot front and center of it. Hey, Chris Wray, I know you've lied about everything else. But I think methinks you are going to get a congressional subpoena here pretty soon. You should probably get your fanny in that seat because we got a lot of interesting questions for you. This document is evidence that Christopher Wray's FBI predicted as early as September 2020 that an attack on the Capitol was possible, Barry Loudermilk said. It also suggests that the FBI infiltrate online chat forums and build a network of confidential human sources prior to January 6th. It further outlines how the FBI should pursue heavy-handed prosecutions for minor offenses, which Biden's DOJ carried out quite effectively after the attack. We now know through confidential human source reports and other intelligence that the FBI had enough information to not only predict an attack on the Capitol, but to prepare for one. So why did the FBI take thorough steps to protect the U.S. Capitol? It's such a conundrum. I'm puzzled still as I sit before you. I'm tired of the slow walk of the breadcrumbs and the leading the horses to water. Like we've been at the trough. We've refilled it multiple times. I'm waiting for enough people to wake up and finally be like, January 6th was a setup. The election was stolen. The virus was foisted upon the world. Millions of people died, including, 1 million Americans, right? More than that, right? Also that their hold on power would continue, and Barack Obama, who sure wanted a third term, could exercise it through the basic corpse of Weekend at Bernie's Joe Biden and Chris Wray and the FBI, hook, line, and sinker, all about it. Why did it take a subpoena to figure out how many confidential human sources, i.e. undercover FBI agents, were there? You guys, you're living in a simulation, except that simulation cost 1 million Americans their lives. And millions more are damaged because of the damn vaccine that they foisted upon all of us. So when I say I hate people, it comes from the heart. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, when DEI turns deadly, this is a tough one. Don't go anywhere. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. All of those wild questions. Larry Dunn, or whatever his name was. What was the first guy? Something Dunn. Harry Dunn. The black cop, Capitol Police, who was so afraid. They were calling me the N-word. Where's the video of that? Because I don't know anybody MAGA who says that, because they don't feel that. And then he was like, I was chased and I was here. And then they're like, well, it's funny because none of the cameras capture you in that zone. But quick, here's a New York Times bestselling book deal. Cash in on that fast. Michael Fanone writing his memoir like a hero. Oh, yes. I took one for the team.
I showed up.
Yes.
I wasn't even on duty.
Well, it's funny because people who weren't even there got arrested and thrown in prison. So what the hell, right? It's almost like it was all planned. Oh, because it was. Look, I hope Bill Gates' penis fell off. I really do. After what he put us through with COVID and the whole preparedness bullcrap, and then his desire to vaccinate the universe with garbage that he knows is garbage, and clearly has been horny to, vaccinate all of these young girls in Africa and other places. Do you really think that that's making them better or worse? As he cashed in $245 million on his sale of Moderna during a freaking global pandemic. You filthy scumbag. God, I would love to interview that man in person, kneecap to kneecap. And I'll even say, no Epstein questions. I don't care, you dirtbag. I'm a little fussy today. Brock's fussiness jumped over onto me.
I feel like I've been pretty tempered.
You know what? That's you co-opted my calm demeanor.
What?
Knowing that I'm an empath. I'm not. But knowing that I'm a touchy-feely feeler and I absorb people.
I did nothing.
I'm blaming you for everything.
Oh, wow.
All right. I'm deeply distraught that I broke that compound. My favorite one. It's the one that creates the illusion of skin color. And I'm pasty arse white. This is calamitous information. How's everybody? Let's see. No bueno. It's no bueno. 309. Okay, let's do this. 3.25. That's the end goal. And I hate going down in objectives. But bleh. I loved how that woman in the beginning in the hour number one said club. Because you know who says that? Mr. Garvey, substitute teacher. Well, son of a... None of you is old enough for the club. What club are you in? I'm in a chess club. Most assuredly, you're not in the chess club.
O'Shaughnessy.
You mean Principal O'Shaughnessy's?
Son of Bob.
Yes. If you guys haven't seen Key and Peele, substitute teacher, it's worth the price of admission every day of the week.
Yes.
I could watch that and the diversity, equity, and inclusion mandates. You know, shame on Stellantis. I had ire when I saw the general manager of Stellantis in the Oval Office talking to President Trump about, we're going to build more plants here. We're going to roll out, we're big fans of the Hemi, right? We're not going to go electric anymore, Mr. President. And I'm like, why would you go hook, line, and sinker for an unproven, like, all electric vehicles? Unless you're stupid. Unless you're bowing to the woke altar of nonsense. And that's what it was. Stellantis lost $23 billion by putting all of their eggs in the basket of electric vehicles without even paying attention to their own customers. Hey, are you interested in buying an electric car? No. Okay, we're not going to put all of our eggs in that basket. They didn't even do that, right? So I have a hard time with us now talking about DEI. And that wasn't such a great idea, right? Oh, EV stuff, all the touchy-feely stuff, that really wasn't a good idea. How about DEI with pilots? Do you care that your pilot is a woman when you walk on the plane? Right? You're like, oh, I'm so excited. I really want my pilot to be black. Well, I really want my pilot to be a woman. No, you want your pilot to be able to take off and land, right? Can we just call a spade a spade? That's what it is. But apparently, affirmative action quotas are in question as female and minority pilots caused half of pilot error crashes. Really? You mean in our zeal for United Airlines to be like, half of our next 5,000 pilots that we hire are going to be black or female? And you're like, can they land the plane, right? United, you suck. Daniel Huff, a former White House lawyer, noted in a recent analysis the drive toward diversity and inclusion in the airline industry in particular has put passengers at risk. That's putting it mildly, right? In an article for the New York Post, Huff wrote that President Donald Trump was right to rescind diversity efforts at the Federal Aviation Administration. That's because female and minority pilots, many of whom entered the industry amid a drive toward diversity among pilots, which was stupid. Stupid as electric vehicles. Oh, nothing says going four-wheeling like an EV in the woods, said nobody with a functioning brain stem. Neither with this. Forget who you are and how well you do behind the whatever joystick, right? Can you land? We just care about your plumbing, right? Despite making up 10% of pilots, women and minority pilots were responsible for 4 out of 8 such crashes since 2000. I'm going to say there's a problem, right? There's a problem. The sample size is small, but precisely because crashes are so rare, the few times they occur, it's important to scrutinize who's at the controls. Under DEI's guiding principle of relying on statistical disparities, it's certainly enough to raise questions. It's not that women and minorities are inherently unable to fly planes, but in practice, pressure for affirmative action too often leads airlines to lower their standards to meet quotas. How dumb. How far off the reservation have you wandered when you're like, what do we want to do, guys? Let's have a board meeting. What do we want? All sorts of minorities and chicks flying our planes, even though they really haven't gone through the rigorous training that these white guys over here did? Or do we want the white guys to continue landing the planes until we can figure out how to train these people adequately? Let's go with door number 1. Right? Sounds perfect. It's not that women and minorities are inherently unable, but the rush to push them through created problems. Is anybody out there surprised by this? Not all diversity-driven safety incidents even reach the public eye. Most diversity disasters leave far from complete paper trails. Training failures happen behind closed doors. Near misses can go unreported. Anything that contradicts the narrative. Shh. Don't let people know. Crashes can be blamed on mechanical failure, understaffing, or the other politically acceptable causes, right? Joe Biden changed the rules for air traffic controllers, you guys. You could be a quadruple amputee in Joe Biden's America and sit up in that beautiful tower with no arms and no legs and be an air traffic controller. In what world does that make sense to you? Oh, that's right, it doesn't. In what world would Chris Wray and the FBI do a training operation about election fraud and a political upheaval after that? They wouldn't. In what world would Bill Gates do a pandemic training just before a pandemic? Jeez, it's almost like it's so obvious. Right. Thanks for being part of the program today. It's almost like we had a few things to talk about. Let's do it again tomorrow. Wanna? Same time, same place? Thanks, guys. Love you. Peace.